Oh, what's going on with my Discord? Is my Discord just really balked? What's going on here exactly? Yeah, why is everything ruined? Okay, no, I'm not questioning it. You guys get to be in low FPS for the entire tea time. You know, it's yeah,
Ouch.
yeah. Enjoy. Yeah, wow. I guess I wasn't paying attention to that at all. I think there's something wrong, a little bit funky with my Discord today. But you know, look, okay.
Please upvote my YouTube comment that I'm gonna make on the VOD, calling this out, please.
Yeah, well, that's pretty unfortunate. But what isn't unfortunate is that we have tea time, guys. Okay, it is now time. Yeah, Guild Wars 2 podcast, Guild Wars 2 FPS seems legit. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's how it goes. But anyway, it's tea time, and well, it's been a little while actually. It's how long has it been? A month, I think, since the since the previous tea time. But here we are again. We have a few little things to talk about. It's been a fairly quiet time in Guild Wars 2, relatively speaking, since, well, for a while, actually, now, in general, right? But we do still have a few things to talk about, of course. Sigils got added to the game, okay? You know, that was exciting, wasn't it? It was especially exciting at the start. Also, we've got Beetle Racing coming up, and of course, 2v2s, guys. 2v2s starting tomorrow as well, so I think, you know, seeing as we have some people from different game modes here, obviously, like Frosty, PvE main, doesn't PvP, hates PvP.
Still better at PvP than I am.
So, you know, let's go ahead and start off on some common ground with regards to the runes and sigils, because that's, of course, affected all the game modes, even world versus world has been affected by this. And you know, anything, if anything, like I think World vs. World got the most lasting effects actually, because like you actually still see some Sanctuary runes plays there. But anyway, so let's go into this, guys. New runes, new sigils. Overall, I think they wanted to increase the power levels of the sigils and the runes, right? Kind of overall to give it a bit more oomph. Okay, but also they kind of wanted to normalize it a bit and streamline it a bit so that all the bonuses are on the 6, right? And there aren't any little mini bonuses anymore. So that's kind of something I'm really curious about. Like, obviously in PvP, it's been like this for a while, right? You only have one rune, right? You have a rune, and then you can't mix and match, right? And that was kind of almost like the original design philosophy of Guild Wars 2. So I'd be curious to think what you guys think about that. Is it the correct option to streamline, okay, the rune system, or does it is it almost like ArenaNet admitting defeat when it comes to the design of the game and just saying, you know what, we were going to make it so you can customize and have, you know, maybe 2 of that rune, 4 of that rune, or you know, so yeah, what do you guys think about that?
They've been making the classes like more and more brain dead in PvP, at least. Like every spec just feels really fucking dumb and easy to play. Everything is like, it's not really that hard punished, and I think that the changes that they're making probably do reflect that. They're kind of removing that complexity element, like they're forcing people to use the same rune throughout. I mean, you can do that in PvP anyway, but like I suppose in World v World, where you might mix multiple runes to get like different outputs with the, like you said, they moved the special ability to the 6th rune choice or stack, then now they're kind of removing that element where you can mix and match and get multiple sets out of that. So I guess like they're just kind of simplifying everything. But like I said earlier, I don't think that much of what they did really changed much in PvP. I think there was a little bit of a change, like Rune of the Water got adjusted and was no longer relevant. There was like better healing output on Flock or Monk, so now Firebrands run that instead. Sanctuary was a big meme when Braze of Grit was OP on Necro. That's no longer a thing, so nobody uses it anymore. And fuck me, I think
Speed
that's pretty much
rune, dude. The speed rune.
It's a big meme, dude.
Okay,
it's a big fucking meme.
Speed rune.
Daredevil rune.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The 3 second 100% crit. That was a fun bug as well.
Dude,
yeah.
It was like 5 seconds.
Oh, 5 seconds.
Yeah, it was
even
busted.
better. Nice. That's good. I like that. Yeah, like the speed rune. You know what? This is what Angels told me, that if you put like speed rune power reaper, it's actually really sick. Okay, you just chase people down with speed runes and like spin all over people. That sounds pretty fun. But yeah, I mean that's another thing that you just touched on there, Jory. The runes and sigils, although they are, you know, it's kind of spiced up a bit. There's a lot of different stuff you can play around with. Like nothing really changed, right?
No.
As such, like not a lot changed. Like certainly in PvP. I think what Nike will tell us about is a few things did change in PvE, right? Now this is an interesting thing. Like a few runes and more options did actually open up in the PvE section of the game, right? So
yeah. Well, I guess my comment is that like, so what they did was they had now there's one rune that's like, let's say like plus 100 of this, the other rune is plus 100 of something else, and it's just like, well, they're both worth 100, so it doesn't really matter which one I use. They're within like 1% of each other, so it's not like it's options, but they're kind of meaningless options. Like with Condi Warrior, there's like 3 different rune options you can use, and Power Warrior 2 in PvE, and they're all like 1% of each other. So it really doesn't matter which one you use. It's like, okay, it's cool to have options, but they don't transform your gameplay at all. Like if one had a radically different play style than the other, that would be cool. And I think that's kind of where they missed the mark in the overall like big picture design of runes, is that the rune 6 bonuses could really be transformative to your gameplay and enable entirely new play styles that didn't exist before, and they don't do that. Like they just don't.
They're very minimal differences for sure.
Yeah, and it's just like stats, which is fine because there was a lot of stats like in combos that we didn't have before that we have now, but the opportunity existed for something much bigger. Like the Sanctuary rune is like was the closest thing to a transformative playstyle, like from that was enabled by a rune. And the big problem, it seems like, is they want the runes to be general purpose. Like any profession can use the Weaver rune. I mean, why would you want to? But you could. Whereas they could have made runes that were like, look, this rune isn't going to do shit unless you put it on a Weaver. Like where the 6th bonus is when you double a tune, get plus 300 power for 10 seconds or something like that. You know what I mean? Like make it very class specific so that like it enables a new play style. Like that would be so much better, and they could do that like across the board. It doesn't have to be even class specific. Like you can just have like just a random rune like that like gives you like a crazy bonus that never existed before if you do a certain thing, and it just totally like the way fresh air works for like that trait enables like a whole play style. You could have runes that do the same thing, and so I don't see why they don't explore that more.
Yeah, but perhaps ArenaNet are a little bit cautious around that because they don't want to increase the power level of the runes too much. Like if a rune was, if it was actually game changing, right, to the point where it would enable a fully different play style, wouldn't that kind of make it insanely powerful? Like wouldn't that make it a ridiculously strong just thing that you just attach to your armor?
It might enable like different specs and stuff to be relevant if there were class specific runes that were like, good for them and then made them relevant. Instead of like what they currently exist as. Like one thing to touch on is like the passive 6th bonus on like a bunch of runes. They've just increased 10% maximum health. Like so that instead of actually adjusting the power creep on things in PvP, so like Firebrand's dying too quick to something like a Revenant or whatever, all they've done is add like 10% maximum health. Like they've done that on a bunch of runes. Like, I mean, I know Defender isn't usable. Otherwise it'd be absolutely busted. But you could run this in World v World, right? Like restores 5% of your maximum health when blocking an attack every 1 second. Like they're pumping out Aegis. Like they're literally unkillable now, but they have that 10% additional maximum health as well, plus toughness, plus healing. So like, instead of actually just saying, okay, well, Hollow's hitting too much too fast, maybe we should just like cut down on the quickness and just like give them less like crit potential or some shit. Nope, we'll just increase max health. Like you might as well do that to everybody then.
There is that, right? And there is an interesting approach to balance where you could actually use the runes and sigils as well. But don't you think that that's why they didn't go too crazy on the runes because they actually do want to leave the balance to the balance. To me, it actually would be quite exciting to have like a spec almost propped up by a rune, right? I think that would be actually that would be kind of cool, actually, right?
Like say you had one that was like whenever you blast a fire field, it does like physical damage, or like applies burns. Like that would like be like, okay, well now I want to explore a build with a lot of blast finishers and see what I can do with them. Because maybe there's like an option there to make a build that didn't exist before. Like, or maybe like Hollow has enough blast finishers built into its kit that like it could use that and gain something. Like, I don't know. There just seems to be like a lot of design, like
just interaction, like the
and it doesn't even have to be basic. It doesn't even have to be like class specific. It just has to be like, okay, well, this one interacts with poison fields somehow and does something crazy that they never thought of before. So then you're like, okay, well, now there's like a whole bunch of builds that make poison fields, and it's like, well, let's see what we can do with that. But I can see, like you said, it's hard to balance that, because what if you find one that sort of like with the Sanctuary Rune that's completely busted? Then it's like now they have to do like a whole bunch of emergency nerfs. Yeah, well, that would be the ideal situation.
It's the one thing that pisses me off about ArenaNet. When something goes wrong, they don't fix it. Like, they know that something's broken. They're like, whatever. We'll just let it sit there for a little bit. We'll let it fester. We'll let it grow on the scene. We'll let it make its impact. And then we'll do something. And it's like, great. Like, thank you for waiting that 2-month period where the entire season is now fucked up. Everybody's pissed off and left. But we get the fix anyway. Just, give it to us a little bit later. Like, if you roll out a patch that's going to change the game, dude, fix it if there's a problem. Like, have like your Trello sheet spread out and have like a fucking critical list of things that need to get changed off of the patch, and then just work a little bit overtime in those first couple of weeks and get it fixed if it's broken. But they don't do that, right? They just let it sit there and fester. So
how long did it take Sanctuary to get fixed? It wasn't that long, right? It was
like 3 days.
It was like I think it was like half a week.
Yeah, I mean that's all right. I think. I mean, obviously, ideally, you'd have it patched on the day, right? Like you'd have it done. Like obviously, it was a pretty egregious bug. Bug interaction, I suppose. Unintended interaction.
They've disabled things before. I don't see why not disable these, especially like at the start of the season, right?
Yeah, that's quite interesting, actually. Like, you talk about disabling stuff there, Frosty, because if you recall Wing 6, right, or the Wing 6 CMs, they were able to disable, like... No, seriously, they were able to do that very quickly, right?
Right? Absolutely.
So, and so it does strike me as a little odd that they didn't just disable the rune, right? They just go ahead and disable the Sanctuary Rune immediately, because they were able to do that with, say, a challenge mode. But then again, the systems may be different, right? So there might be a few problems there, like to make it actually, to make it actually work out there. But yeah, I don't know. I think it would be really good to make spicy runes, and actually, I think the combo idea is particularly interesting, especially in PvP. Actually, because in PvP, like you'll see a lot of classes that do actually manage to get value out of combo finish. Like I think Hollow-Smith would be like a really prime example of this, right? Always going crazy, like a lot of blasting water fields and stuff like that. But I mean, that's kind of, again, it's kind of one of the neglected systems in the game, right? Is the combo system. So if you had runes that interacted with that, that would be quite interesting. Maybe even bring it back. Right? You kind of see them try to do that, like with the recent change to the Guardian Greatsword trait, right? So whenever you execute a finisher in a light field, it gives you some health back. Like it does seem that ArenaNet kind of want to go there, right? With kind of some of the combo finishes, stuff like that. But maybe not quite yet. Like again, like. One of the big problems that always comes up with regards to ArenaNet, which is just what Jawgeous is saying there, is the speed, right? It takes a little while to do anything. I mean, okay, so how many elite spec reworks have we had? We had a rework to
3?
Scrapper 3, okay, 3, yeah, because we had so Mesmer kind of got reworked a bit, Herald got reworked. And wait, what else? Scrapper got reworked a bit, right? Okay, so
you said
Scrapper,
Herald, Scrapper. Wait, what?
Scrapper, Mesmer, Herald,
okay,
and then Deadeye. Yeah, so okay, 4 reworks, right? Okay, so yeah. A few. There have been a few reworks, right? Like Scrapper got reworked.
The word rework is a little bit. I don't know. You
Oh,
can.
Reaper as well, actually. Oh yeah. I mean, it might be a bit strong, right? But I mean, look how long it's going to take, right? Like to get through all the classes that need a little bit of help, right? And that's basically all. Well, that need to be adjusted. It's all of them, right? I mean, in PvP, I think people are quite frustrated with the way the PvP meta is right now, and PvE as well. It's perhaps a bit less noticeable in PvE, right? Because you don't have to play against your own aids, right? But if you were a raid boss, you'd be really pissed if you had to play in the current meta. Seriously, it would not be fun, right? But certainly in PvP, I think people are a little bit frustrated with how the meta is right now, and it is a little bit stagnant. It's been fixed this way for a long time, and I think people were kind of hoping that the runes might shake it up a little bit. Like, I mean, maybe a little ambitious, right?
I don't think
but-
people actually have an issue with the meta in PV. I've yet to hear that from anybody, really.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's hard to complain when everything is busted, but in your favor,
obviously,
right?
like
Yeah.
some things are underpowered, but that's always the case.
Yeah, I think like Frosty's saying, like Chrono is the only thing that you ever hear anyone complain about. But then like what replace, like if you like nuked Chrono, we were saying this yesterday on your stream, Teapot, that you nuke Chrono and then what comes next is like Firebrand Revenant ×2 in every group, and that's even more cancerously AIDS. Like that's just terrible. Like, is that any more fun? No, that's less fun. Because like now you have less people playing what they want to play, like, and more people playing like shitty comps that they don't.
But then you're always going to have optimized builds. Like you're always going to have people
Yeah.
that lean towards a certain class or spec because it does a little bit more damage, a little bit more healing. But I think something that Teapot's proven many a time is that you can play whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't matter in PvE. So like the community puts it on itself, right? To play these these classes like stacked, right? You don't have to do that. So it's quite funny that people do it to themselves and then complain about it. Like,
oh no, yeah, I'm definitely
you have
with
a
you.
fixed meta in PvE. You know.
Well, the exception to that is Chrono, though. Like,
oh yeah, of course, yeah.
You need two Chronos, no matter what. Like, you can bring 8 of anything else, but you still need 2 Chronos.
Nobody necessarily has an issue with Chrono, though. I mean, obviously the buff that happened was bad, and people don't really like that, but people wouldn't want to play fucking Renegade Fire Run. That's not gonna happen.
I want to play Renegade. I love Renegade Firebrand.
People probably just want Chrono toned down a little bit and just that's it. And I mean, honestly, what does that do? Nothing. It's it's the same right now.
Yeah, like instead of making like 11 boons with 100% uptime, maybe it can only do like 6. Like, how about that? Like, seems.
That's good. I mean, it's certainly got it coming, right? But it's an interesting thing, with regards to the PvE balance. Like, I don't know. I always see people complaining about like Druid and Chrono and like stuff like that. People complain about everything. Why do people complain so much? Now I've realized the stupidity of my own statement at this point, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone just complains about everything constantly. I don't know why I'm singling stuff out. It's like, oh, why does Thief do so much DPS?
Isn't that what TeaTime is about, though?
Oh yeah, okay, that's us too. Oh, Joe,
how long have you been doing this now?
Look, okay, that's a little too much self-awareness for this podcast. Okay, gonna need you to tone that down real quick. Okay,
yeah, more hot takes.
More hot takes, exactly. It definitely is that stuff. But kind of going over to PvP then. In that case, I mean, like, how long has it been since the last? When was the last balance patch? Right, it's been a little while.
It's been a couple months.
And
yeah, like everyone's waiting for the next one, which is due probably. I mean, if they do it before Christmas, I'd be surprised. I already said to Ben that I thought he might. I thought they might do it in January, but he's not going to tell me. So
no leaks, no leaks, huh?
No leaks, indeed. I mean, I have some information that people don't know. That's that's myself. I can't be sharing that. But yeah, but yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people that are calling out for that balance. There's actually like a bunch of PvPers that are. This has been going on for a long time, but like there's a lot of PvPers that are in discussion with the balance guys, like the skill guys for PvP. So we've got like a bunch of the system team that have joined this team, and there's like I mean, I could name off a few, but basically there are some like ex-ESL players and like people that are like top legendary players who are in this this Discord. So we are getting like, some output from people that just main PvP to try and maybe not sway, but just provide some community feedback towards like how certain classes play or where the meta is standing in like terms of what is broken. And at the moment, it kind of leans towards Soul Beast being broken. The Deadeye stealth mechanic is cheesy and bullshit. Hollowsmith quickness uptime is ridiculous, and stability uptime. And things like that. So like we're pointing out the broken classes, and I personally I have like a vendetta against like Mirage. I think Mirage needs to change, and I fucking hope that they do something in the next balance patch, because if you actually think about what Mirage is, right? I'm gonna rant here for like
okay, 30, let's go.
Seconds,
let's
right?
Let's go.
I've said I feel like actually reading this out word for word what I said to them. Okay. And there was like there was some pretty interesting shit that they that was said in rebuttal to this. Here we go. Let's scroll up. I said personal request to change Torment to interact the same way as Confusion does. Okay, so I'm being pulsed for like 2k a second with fucking like 15 stacks Torment. Okay, I ate the full burst, but I'm not moving, right? So why the fuck am I dying to Torment? That should like work the same way that Confusion works, in my opinion. If I'm not running, don't punish me with the mechanic, right? So I requested that. Whether or not they change that, that's up to them. That's a full fucking condition rework. And then I said, the entire spec is anti-fun. Can't cast because of Confusion. Can't move because of Torment. Can't hit skills anyway because of Shatter Blinds. Can't CC chain because of Blink mid-stun evades. Can't be consistent because of high clone uptime and target clearance on Axe. On the Axe 3, I think it is, that has the target clear. Can't stay on node because of Staff 5 Chaos Storm dominance, dazing the fuck out of me, right? But this list goes on. It's such an anti-fun class, so they need to change that in the balance. And I don't really give a shit what it does to PvE, but it needs to change, right? If they just make it only in PvP, I'd be happy.
That would be so good for PvE as well. I would love that. That would be amazing.
What?
Just completely destroy Mirage.
Yep.
I mean, I don't want to destroy the class. I just want to make it so that it does something other than just like preventing play. Like if the damage wasn't maybe like or maybe just if the shatters didn't blind, right? Maybe if they made it so that like Staff 5 didn't stay on the point for as long. Because obviously there's a chain days, they get like fucking chaos armor out of it. They get the Aegis uptime coming out of it. Like they get so much out of that fucking ability, and it's just no dominance, and they can just like constantly evade and like it's bullshit. So I just want like Mirage to change. If anything, Soul Beast weakness uptime is bullshit. Like on the X3, like they can just literally keep like 10 seconds of weakness uptime every 10 seconds. It's just there's so much dumb shit in the meta right now that they need to fix. So next balance patch needs to happen ASAP. That's my say. There's my rant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's probably number one most hated class, I think. Can I say? No, it's either Scourge or Mirage is number one most hated. I'd lean towards Mirage, I think, actually. So I mean, that's certainly, yeah. But that's kind of a lot of, again, I think it's for the same reason as Scourge, right? It's just a little bit anti-fun. It just, the whole point of PvP is to go on the points, right? And if you go on the points, you're going to have a really rough time versus something like a Scourge, right? And that, that kind of, do you think Deadeye is most hated? I mean, is it? I don't know. Yeah, it's yeah, but no. It's a real legitimate thing. The thing that does concern me, and I get a little bit of a counterpoint here. Okay, that's kind of the point of Mesmer, right? I mean, Mesmer is that's what Mesmer is as a class thematically. It's very much the like fuck over the enemy player kind of class, like it's all about interrupt, confusion, torment, blind. Like that is very much the theme of the class. So it's a bit tricky, like to deal with Mirage in this way, because in a way it would seem like you'd almost have to like completely delete it from the game mode, because Mirage is that. It is the super evasive, super fast kind of class that just does that, right? That's what it's supposed to do. So it's a bit I'm not sure if they could really get rid of that. Like, it's a troll build, and that's what Mesmer does. Mesmer just trolls.
You can't hit it at all, Teapot. Like the blinds on the shatters are the most annoying thing, because they have multiple methods of blinding you. So like it's almost like I have to wait for them to use all of their shatter abilities. Oh, and they can cast their immunity as well, by the way. Distortion. They can use their abilities through distortion. So that's fucking fantastic.
right? That's another thing that's just it's only that class that can do it, right? Mirage just has so much broken shit, but like just remove the blinds so I can hit them at least whilst they're like doing the shit. Even if I choose to cast through like 15 stacks of confusion, right? Even if there's 15 stacks of confusion on me and I choose to take that damage just to try and hit them and I can't because I'm blinded for like the 5th time, it's, you know, all right.
It might be thematically correct right now, but I mean, people probably miss something like normal power shatter mesmer, because I mean, in that meta there was a like you could actually focus the mesmer down. That was a real thing. Now less so much. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, just in that case, we know what to do. Just skill split and just completely gut all the Condi stuff in Mirage. There you go. Job done.
I'd be happy for the power creep to go down. Like, you have condition damage that's doing like insane bursts. Like, you can look at your death recap and you've taken like 23,000 burn damage, 17,000 fucking poison damage. Like, everything in conditions just seems to stack up exponentially. It's just huge. It's massive. And then you look at the power damage you take and it's like, you took 2.5k from a few autos. You took 6k. You took like fucking 5k. It's when you actually look at how much condition damage you actually take, there's like 4 or 5 times the amount of damage you take in conditions versus what you take in power. And that's really weird because you'll die quicker to conditions than you will to power damage when it's meant to be a damage overtime, you know, thing. I saw somebody complaining about that recently on Reddit. You know, like somebody like brand new to PvP was like, oh no, sorry, they just returned from a break and they said something like, oh, I've just come back and I remembered that, you know, the meta was like bunker and now I'm dying in like 3 seconds to condition output. What the fuck's happened? You know, and I feel bad for anybody that's trying to get into PvP now because, you know, you walk into something and you're like, oh shit, I don't know where my fucking condition clear is. Or like just brand new players that just get cucked by Scourge, or like somebody that's fat fingered all the buttons on Mirage and they still kill their opponent, or the opponent kills themselves. You know, I feel bad. Like, I'm just now getting my head around a lot of these classes and I've been playing for a long time. So, you know, people are going to struggle coming into the PvP scene, and that's why we're as a whole struggling. You know, like they need to just bring that power creep down, or just like make it so that they last a lot longer, but they do a lot less damage. So they're more punishing if you don't have condition clears. I don't know. There's just like a lot of power creep that's just not being answered to.
Well,
I don't think that's that big of an issue. Like, it's just another form of damage, really. Like, it being fast isn't that big of an issue. I don't know. Like, people might have an issue with being able to understand it, but I don't know. Like, you'll learn eventually, and you're fighting against people of your skill level. Like, if you really need to, I guess, roll a Scourge. I don't fucking know.
Well, yeah. I think there is a lot of condition hate. Interesting, right? And honestly, power is just as AIDS. To be brutally honest with you, like look at the amount of power damage. Right, you got like core guards running left and right, hollow smiths with permanent quickness going crazy with insane DPS there. Soul beast as well, like really does a shit ton of damage too, and it's pretty survivable on top of that as well. Like there's, even like warrior with like rampage. I mean, what is that still doing in the game, dude?
I mean,
like,
the issue is like there's so much Condi cleanse and resistance now in the game after so many years that you can't have the old condition power. It's not gonna work because there's way too much counterplay now.
Yeah. This is it's on both sides, right? As well. That's kind of what Frosty's alluding to here. The application and removal is massively increased for conditions, right? You have stuff like Firebrand that exists in the game. So you know you have, if you don't, Condis would be so bad if they were slower now. Like if you double the duration on everything and like halve the amount of stacks, they already did this, right? They already kind of did this. And you know, obviously that did kind of fix the, you know, it sorted stuff out a little bit, because I mean, I remember when Scourge could like burst really, really hard. Okay, but nowadays, like they did actually do this change. But if they did it again or something similar again, then conditions would just be absolute trash. It will be so bad.
That would be me saying that they have to adjust the whole power creep. Like if they have to adjust the clearance,
the
amount that you clear as well as the amount that, or how long the conditions stay on you, so it's equal on both sides, just so it's not as volatile, you know.
Yes,
like, I don't mind if I get 20 stacks and get punished for it, but then I will die very slowly, and then I will eventually be able to answer to it, maybe. But I don't know. I just feel like there would be like more to do in the time frame where you're dying from conditions instead of just like dying in like 2 to 3 seconds. You know?
I am so. From an outsider perspective, if you eat someone's whole Condi burst and don't dodge it or evade it or block it, how is that worse than eating someone's power burst and not dodging, blocking, evade it? You still die.
The application of conditions is punishing. It, like, as a Mirage, for example, a Mirage into, say, a Holosmith, you can dodge the Cry of Frustration, which is obviously the condition output on the Mesmer with like all the shatters. You can dodge that. You can dodge like Axe 3, which obviously is like Axis of Symmetry. There's like a ridiculous amount of confusion application on that ability in PvP. I think it's like somewhere around like
6
15
confusion,
stacks.
Wait. Oh, if you got more clones, it goes up to 9 stacks. I want to say on Axe.
It's really high. I can't remember the exact listing.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's 5 stacks from you and 3 stacks from all of your clones.
Oh, yeah.
3 from all of clones. So what you can have.
I'm not 100% sure.
So it's like 14, 15, right? If it was 3 on each clone. So yeah, you've got like that much confusion coming out from a single ability. So you can dodge that, and then you eat confusion from like, say, the F3. Like they have the Torment application on, I think, Axe 2. You've got, or is it it's when you dodge roll and use Axe 1. I can't remember exactly, but there's just so much condition application as a whole. And then say, for example, you dodge that Cry of Frustration, you dodge that Axe 3. They can disengage, like they can fucking jaunt away a couple of times, or even if they could jaunt on top of you, they can apply more confusion to you. But they can disengage in stealth, use Prestige, for example, Torch 4. That one ability, by the way, applies blind, puts them in stealth, applies burn, damage, confusion, and torment all in one ability. You know, it's the most like, it's kind of like the stacked ideal of like how everything is busted in PvP and in Mirage as well, like just in terms of just how many things each skill does. And I think that is one thing that kind of leads towards the application of conditions and not having an equal amount of condition clearance unless you're a firebrand, or you have like, or maybe you're a spellbreaker that's literally pure resistance or whatever.
You can compare the Mesmer to some other things as well that are just power. I think the issue is people expect that they can play reactively versus something that has condis, while in reality they need to play proactively, like versus a power class. I mean, there are a lot of power classes and have been a lot of power classes that have instant burst. It's, yeah.
I mean, I agree. Like, there's a lot of the element that, which kind of leads you to it's a learn to play issue, right? Like, a lot of the time it is just get good, and I admit that like my matchups into Mirages have got better over time when I've learned to like telegraph things, right? But if you think about me as like a brand new player, right? So I haven't been streaming this game, I haven't been playing for like a year or whatever, and I'm going into PvP for the first time, and I'm experiencing Mirage in the way that it is, or like I go into an unranked game and the unranked algorithm has opened up so quickly. Because there's like barely anybody playing, that I've just got myself in a game with like a Plat 2, Plat 3 player who's playing on Mirage, and I'm brand new to the game, just trying to get to like rank 20 to start doing ranked. And I've just been completely and utterly decimated by killing myself in confusion and torment and all this like ridiculous stuff. And I can't see the Mirage because there's like, 12 different fucking clones around me constantly and all this shit. Like, that's really off-putting to a brand new player. And that's kind of like what I feel for, because I want people to get into the scene. As much as they make all these changes and they try to refresh things with like, the sigil changes, the rune changes, people aren't going to want to come in if they can't actually understand what's happening, and they can't understand what killed them, and they don't know where to move on from there. So they just see Scourge and they go, I just ate like 20 conditions. What the fuck? I'm dead. I just walked into a Mirage and then there's like suddenly 4 of them and I don't know where they are, and they don't know what's. Of course, it's a get good issue, but I think people have patience?
Well, I think what Nike says, and this is kind of my perspective on this as well. It's just like, well, like, how is that any different from like getting one shot by a core guard or something, like just like leaping across onto you, like spinning around on his greatsword, or a fucking Deadeye?
Nobody likes core guard either.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying like, it's not conditions.
It's just every build. Though. Every build has something like that. Like if your build didn't have something like that, no one would play it. Like why? Like you don't want to be the one guy playing the gimped build that doesn't kill people. Like fuck that. Yeah. Everyone's playing something.
You're the only
cancer.
Why
else would you not play?
You can be like the shining white knight. You can play the fairest build, right? I'm gonna play a perfectly fair build the entire time.
Yeah, I'm playing core Rev. Come at me. Like we're doing this fair.
No, you know, I think that does kind of sum it up. But just in general, with regards to PvP, sorry, it's just that the power level is just so high across the board, right? On basically everything, right? And well, I think a great example of this is is Tempest versus Firebrand, right? Okay, so
if Firebrand was deleted from the game, it would be so much more fun. Like 100%. Even if you did no other changes, even if everything was busted,
just removed,
it would be so much more fun. 100%.
It'll be more volatile, that's for sure. Like I think the speed at which the game plays is so much quicker. Because Firebrand just shuts it down and delays everything. Signet Mercy, condition clearance, like boon up application, protection. Like fucking Firebrand and Scourge have been meta for like God knows how long. I mean, literally since POF release, right? So that meta is stuck literally because nothing can trump the team application of conditions, like dominance over a point and the sustainability of just Firebrand in general. So
yeah,
I agree with that. To be honest, like just fucking gut it because nothing compares. Well, like bring Firebrand down to match fucking Scrapper support and Tempest, or bring fucking Scrapper support and Tempest support up to match Firebrand, and then you might see some diversity.
It's nerf time now. Let's swing that nerf back, dude. No, the one thing I would say is that I think it would be a bit sad if there was well, I guess it wouldn't be horrible if there was a no support meta, but I do think it is actually quite a healthy thing to have a support role be good, right? That would be, that would be pretty good. I don't think it would be. I wouldn't like it if it was completely without that and it was just like everyone was just like running around DPS each other. Some people would, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, I definitely think the case is like a lot of the power level of a lot of stuff needs to just be lowered down, right? And I think the Tempest Firebrand combo is a comparison is particularly apt, right? Because if you turn back time, right, it was all about that Reaper and the Tempest. But then if you just compare what Firebrand does compared to Tempest, it's actually hilarious, right? Like, it's so bad. It's so bad compared to Firebrand. It's almost laughable.
If you had like this minor trait on Tempest that said like convert all conditions that you cleanse into boons, it would still not be playable.
It can't keep up, right? Like Tempest can't keep up with the other classes right now, and this goes into the conversation about application, like the application of boons, conditions, and cleanse, and just overall damage is simply too high for the other classes to keep up with, right? Like I think the slight exception to this will be Heal Scrapper. I think Heal Scrapper. I've seen it played quite effectively actually. Like it's not Firebrand, right? But if you know what you're doing, it's certainly a build that requires skill, and it is quite a vulnerable class, which is where in particular where Firebrand is kind of has the edge over it, right? Well, in with regards to some other things as well, but just in terms of like its tankiness, obviously like Firebrand does have the edge, and in like stuff like stability is really great as well. Like the boon access of the Firebrand is very strong, but like Scrapper it can actually see usage if played correctly, but it's not quite there, right? I mean, if it would be interesting actually, like if the meta went fully over like raw conditions, pure conditions, and they maybe nerfed down Firebrand a bit. I think that would be quite interesting to see Scrapper actually, because of course Scrapper is particularly adept at dealing with the condies, right? Because it's better than cleansing, right? It turns them into boons, which is really strong, obviously, especially if you're dealing with something like corruption as well, actually. But that would be quite interesting, right? Like, yeah, exactly. And just old, of course, Scrapper used to be very good back in the day, but there just needs to be a lot of nerfs. And what concerns me about ArenaNet is that we don't see enough sweeping changes. And again, this goes, we don't want to go too. We want to make sure that we can have contribution, okay, from Nike, for example. It goes into PvE as well. Like, stuff changes so damn slow, right? Like, Chrono in PvE has been meta since Heart of Thorns release, man. Oh, boy. And so is Druid. And let's talk about Warrior. Like, Warrior has been meta since, like, the game launches, right? I mean, that's fine.
There was, like, a 2-month period where Warrior wasn't used because Ellie's could kill shit.
Oh,
like,
too fast.
It was like... Okay. Yeah, Ellie's like just adding another Ellie would just burst the bosses down faster. Like, and Warrior was complete trash before the specialization change, but before that it was good.
Yeah. So there's a lot of issues. Like, it just takes so damn long. Like, why is it taking so long? Stuff doesn't move quickly, and when it does, it's quite small changes. To me, it almost seems like in PvP, like they need to rework almost everything. It seems, right, to actually fix it. You'd have to change so much about the way the game functions that it will be very difficult to extricate it from its current situation. So I really don't envy the developers actually trying to untangle the way
they've
PvP
done it to
is
themselves. They've done it to themselves, but they went like over complex, and now they've made it. Well, they're attempting to make it oversimplified, and it's not working. Like I guess they're trying to make it simple so that it appeals to more people to give it a go. So that people don't get, people look at the trait lines, they go, holy fucking shit, what does this all mean? Oh my, and it's like, I understand why they would try and adjust those to get more people in. But, like Nico's just saying, they're afraid to change shit. They're afraid to make the adjustments that need to be made in order to get more people in. I think there's a lot of rework that could be done across the board. I think that maybe the reason they're not adjusting the power creep and the healing creep and everything in PvP is because they're afraid of the bunker meta that destroyed the ESL and everything, So
I think that's a very legitimate threat, though, as well. Actually, and this reminds me of a conversation I had with Frosty on the last TeaTime we had with Frosty, actually, with regards to like how we talked about like how attrition gameplay might even be like more unfriendly to new players, perhaps, actually, that if you have it so that the game is a lot slower, which is kind of what would happen if the changes we're talking about go through, right? It would be the game, the pace, the tempo of the game will be a lot slower, and Frosty was making the point that if you do that, then it suddenly becomes like very difficult for new players. Like they'll always lose to people who understand the game a lot better, which I suppose is a good thing, right? But
they're going to lose anyway.
But with regards like the way, I mean, yeah, of course they're going to lose anyway. But like at least with this, at least where the game is now, you can kind of mash buttons and just wreck people.
My point was that they don't understand why they're losing at that point because it takes too long for them to lose. If they lose in 3 seconds, they can probably get information and realize why they've lost. But if they lose in 2 minutes,
I mean, they're so drastically different, though, aren't they? Like 2 minutes versus 3 seconds. I mean, if we increase the dual ability to like, that's the thing. But if you increase that dual ability to say 30 seconds instead of 3 seconds, then at least you have like 10 times that amount of time to kind of realize what those visuals look like, I guess. But then, that's got to actually be put into place. And I don't know how the fuck they would make something that, every duel lasts 30 seconds. That's impossible. But you see what I mean? Like that, I do feel that when somebody dies too quick, again, they're just flabbergasted by what the fuck's just happened to them, and they don't know. They could look at the death recap. They won't know what the skills look like or the visuals or whatever. And I suppose if something lasts like 2 minutes, if you could imagine, I don't know, a Spellbreaker into a Weaver or a Weaver into a Weaver that just like is indefinite. Again, it's just button pressing. So I don't think you learn from either one that well. I think that a lot of what I learned was from watching other streamers, believe it or not. And like when I first started doing PvP, I watched Frostball a lot. I watched Cinder a lot, and that's kind of how I picked up on tips and tricks and certain visuals, and like, because obviously that was like my method of learning, which I then passed on. So, it's I feel like actually learning what's happening in the game is very, very hard, and or maybe until you even pick up the class that you're struggling against and look at what the meta build is, and then how it activates, the majority of its damage. Maybe then is again how you learn, but actually learning from the duels, I'm not so sure, even in the current state.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually talked about duels in specific, because I mean the main thing that's gonna happen, like if you think if a thing is gonna last 3 seconds, it's probably gonna be a core guard bursting you from behind a wall.
True.
That's probably
or a Revenant face reversal shackling wave.
Or that, yeah. I
Even
mean,
naked.
there's a lot of things you get one shot with. That's the thing. Not that that's bad. That's fine.
No, I don't know. Of course, it's easy for us to say that, but yeah, it does seem that Arena are a little overcautious. I don't know. I know. Maybe, of course, my ass isn't on the line here. Okay, so I can say this, but I kind of just say, just fuck it, ain't it? Just like randomly nerf everything. Just like just gut everything, right? Just destroy it.
It would be more interesting if they at least like swapped what is meta, right? Because like I mean, they could change it so Firebrand is absolute trash and just make something else broken. Even like that would probably make people still happy. Like, I mean, I don't know. Anything really is fine, just as long as it's not the same shit.
Yeah, I think variety is good, but perhaps I think ArenaNet may be a little concerned about community outcry. Now, I realize it sounds like
That's
a big meme,
problem.
okay? But it's a huge problem. Have you seen? Seriously, this is my pet peeve, okay? So, new rant, okay? Jaws doing a rant, I'm doing a rant now. Seriously, guys, if I see one more fucking necro crying about how bad it is in PvE, I will lose my shit. I'm out. Seriously. Like, some of the communities in this game are so goddamn whiny. It's unbelievable. There are some people who are just totally deluded, ladies and gentlemen, okay? It's ridiculous, okay? Necromancer, PvE, okay? In my opinion, one of the most broken classes in PvE, by far, okay? And people still say it's bad, okay? Still, okay? And if they nerf it, like, imagine if they nerfed it, like, oh my goodness. I mean, look, okay, basically the best ability in the entire game, Epidemic, right? It was literally the best ability in the game, by far, right? Epidemic. It killed everything instantly, and they nerfed it by quite a lot, by like 75% to be fair, okay, ish. And people said, all right, Necro's dead. Necro's not even fringe viable. And you know what? You know what happened? I ran a tournament. Maybe some of you guys remembered this, okay? And there was a team.
The ARP.
The ARP, yeah. And
yeah, full Scourge.
Yeah, the full Scourge Wing 1 happened, okay? Right? And this is traditionally a wing where people run power classes, right? It's a power-themed raid wing, right? And guess what? The team who ran nothing but Scourges won, okay? There you go. Necro's trash, though. It's like, it's unbelievable. And
was that Gorseable?
That was
that's where I saw them, I think, and they used Epidemic on the
on the ads. Yeah, it was quite impressive. Yeah, that was. I was
impressed by that.
Yeah, it was extra spicy by We Wipe on Escort. There, lovely job. But yeah, that is kind of the response that will happen. I mean, so if they did say nerf, let's say Hollowsmith, right? They nerf Hollowsmith really hard, right? Okay, in PvP for whatever reason, right? It does that big damage, big quickness damage. Okay, you'd have a lot of people kind of crying about it, right? And maybe that's I agree, right? But I think ArenaNet is maybe a little overcautious about some of this stuff, or at least some people. You know what? You know, I don't think it's all of them. For example, I think Ben P, he would like laugh, he would like it. Okay, he'd enjoy it, like watching people go crazy. But you know.
I mean, he's not the balance team, right?
Yeah,
but
no, he is.
I don't think the balance team is afraid either. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. I'm not sure why they're so slow or why nothing's happening, but I don't think they're afraid.
I think they lack resources, if I'm honest. I mean, they've combined all of the teams together, right? So the one thing that, I mean, I know this was ages ago, right? This was a long time ago, but when they actually converged like the skills team, the World v World team, and the PvP team into the systems team, and I think what they actually described that as was, now we have better communication where we talk to one another when we make decisions. And I was like, wait, so how long has this game been out for and you haven't been doing that? Like, for real? Like, I was like, this is your game-breaking like decision that you're now gonna converge and work together on these things. And I was like, this is why we haven't got nice things, right? This is why we're all struggling like this. And I don't know if they're actually applying each other's resources to particular things. Like, I mean, if I had a team that big, I'd be like, okay, let's work on PvP today. Let's all put ourselves together and like formulate the next thing that's gonna reshape how PvP works, right? And just work everybody. I'm assuming like they all have their like little niche like things that they do, but I'm sure the systems are pretty similar in terms of like how you actually get output. But it would be really good if they actually just work. I feel like they still, even though they're in the same same team now, the systems team, I still feel like they actually all still work on their own individual projects, right? I feel like they're not actually working together on singular projects. I mean, maybe that's a really bad way of distributing resource, but at the moment we're not really getting anything done, you know?
So, well, a couple of responses to that. So the Rune and Sigil rework would have never happened under the old organization because, for starters, it incorporates PvP, like the balance team, and what people are overlooking is like the crafting and economic stuff. All that would have been 3 separate teams with 3 managers who had to agree on everything and 3 people with veto power on any change. It would have never happened. Now there's just the system team lead, who I believe is Arenio, who can just go, okay, do it, and it gets done. Like, that would have never happened before. And that was sort of like the old problem, was that whenever the balance team wanted to revamp anything, they had to have it get signed off on by the managers of 4 other teams before it could actually happen, which leads, of course, to compromised, watered down solutions that get you 5% buffs to Necro Axe too. Like, that's where that comes from. Like now that I suspect that moving forward, the balance patches are going to be like a bit more comprehensive in terms of like shaking things up, just because they don't have 5 managers that they have to run everything by before they can make a change. They have more autonomy to do what they feel they need to do. So we'll see.
Yeah, and we certainly will. And well, we are due a balance patch kind of about now, really. Of course, monthly AT just happened, yesterday. So, it really should be coming anytime soon. Because there will be a Winter's Day patch. Okay, now, because there's some 2v2 is tomorrow. Okay, it's kind of already in the game. Tuesday is the Beetle fiasco. Okay, and then the next thing on the list will be Winter's Day, right? Like, what are the odds, okay, of a balance patch coming at the same time as Winter's Day? Now that would be spicy.
I don't see why not.
Extra spicy.
I think they could.
I don't see why not either. Yeah.
I don't think it will come through. I really don't. From what I've heard from Ben and like the way that they discussed the balance patch during the what was it called? It was like when they did the charity stream. They did like a PvP
the extra life
discussion.
Yeah.
Extra life, yeah. They basically discussed like what was coming for PvP and stuff. And when there was a mention of a balance patch, they just said that it was late. Like they said in the middle of the next season. So we've only just started the new season like a week ago. So I mean, look, we're probably going to be looking at waiting another 3 weeks before we get anything, which is, I would say December 22nd is the next monthly AT. It's the December monthly AT. So I would suspect that it's probably going to be a couple of days before that, if anything.
Before that? You think they're going to
I don't think there's going to be anything after Winter's Day until the new year. Like, if it doesn't come with Winter's Day, it's not coming until next year, I would imagine.
I think I honestly think that it'll be before that, like slightly before that, or it will be, like you say, in January. Like, I don't think they'll get anything done between, like, obviously just before Christmas, the 22nd. I think like once the ATs happen, anything PvP wise is probably a write-off, and then leading up to the new year and everything, there's not going to be any changes between them. I don't think so. It will be either before the 22nd or it will be after January, or like in January.
T-bugs, monkey mega.
Yep. I mean, there are currently bugs as well. Like the current AT system keeps crashing. People are going into games and then they just can't get their rewards. They get like just kicked out. Like their team doesn't queue in or something, and they just get cucked. So.
Oh, well, that sucks. Oh.
Yeah, it's few and far between, but it still happens. So
yeah.
One of those things.
Well, yeah. I mean, look. Wait. That shaman guesses November 27th. Well, there is a patch coming, right? On Tuesday. But I don't think it's going to be the balance.
Not
patch.
A balance patch.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the balance patch. Oh wow, that would be. I would.
It's going to balance beetle racing.
Imagine if they did that. They dropped the beetle racing, and then they also just dropped the balance patch at the same time. That would be exciting. Actually, that would be.
Also, statues are bugged. Haven't the statues been bugged since the start of MITs? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, of course. This is a true thing. Of course, it is the holiday season is nearly upon us, so ArenaNet will take a little bit of time off going into the brand new year. So there is that. I had to keep in mind. So yeah, we certainly won't. I won't expect anything after the Winter's Day patch. Pretty much that'll be like the last thing. And maybe they'll fix some stuff or whatever. But then they'll be cracking on in the new year. So there is actually going to be a fair bit of downtime actually just in like the general flow of the game, actually, relatively speaking, it's been a little while since the last like content patch, as it were, I suppose. So it's going to be a little while before that happens.
If the next Living Story isn't until January, it'll be 4 months between patches, which is like actually like kind of outside the bounds of what they've even done with like the big delay.
Well,
so that's kind of a weird thing.
It's not completely impossible that they release Living Story in December, though. I suppose actually, like it's not impossible.
No.
I would probably say it's a little unlikely at this point because they really don't have a lot of time. Sorry,
they're going to have. Do you think that they would actually release anything that close to Christmas though? Because I mean, surely they're anticipating holiday time. People taking time off to go visit family. Probably not even going to be in the country if they like. I don't know, depending on like where their family lives or whatever. But would you really release something that may potentially need a fix, like an immediate fix, whether it's within a couple of days or a week? Would you do that if you were anticipating like a lot of people going on holiday and you knew that you were going to have downtime?
Well, I think they have released something in December before. Okay.
It would have to be early, very early. Like I would expect it like very early December for them to actually be able to, fix something if it were an issue or something. Like maybe around like the 7th or something.
Oh, yeah.
Nowhere near the actual date of Christmas.
I've gone on the internet and they released Seeds of Truth, which is Living World Season 2 on December 2nd in 2014.
Yeah, so they still would have allowed themselves like 18 days or something.
They did have a while, so if we're going to see anything, it's going to be very soon, right? Like if it's going to have realistically, we need to get an announcement probably this week, really, right?
Mm-hmm.
That might happen. It's not completely unfeasible. I mean, we're going to see a lot of patches though. I mean, there seems to be they're adding a lot of new like beetle racing features. Seems to be some kind of like adding into the open world maps to make you go back to those. It seems
to get people to go buy that Living Wild, dude. Going to buy those beetle skins.
Yeah, yeah.
Smile.
If there's neither balance or Living World, before January,
dead game.
It's gonna be very dry.
Yeah.
The big dry.
Well, Frosty, it's okay. There's a lot of builds I can try and play Plague Doctor on. It's all good.
Honestly, in raids, I have no issue. Yeah, but other people will. So that's
Yeah, it is a little bit inevitable with with the Christmas stuff, right? And New Year, like everyone's going crazy, just not doing anything. Of course, they deserve some time off. That is kind of how it goes. But I mean, so the scheduling has not been too bad, I guess. And in the new year, I'm sure ArenaNet will come back and make it even quicker, right? Maybe it'll be 4 months and they'll do it in 2 months. Okay, no, I struggling to say
make up for it. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, and maybe they'll add Swiss. Wow, finally.
Ben said to me,
alliances.
He wanted that done.
Alliances, like we don't talk about that, dude. I mean,
they literally dead before they even like announce when they arrive. All right, that's real. They're already dead. Alliance literally already dead.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's a little deceptive. I do think people will come back for it, right? Like people will definitely return for Alliance. It's like raids, right? Like the deadest part in the PvE scene is like before the next raid wing, pretty much. It's like then it's like, whoop, then we're back. Then it kind of settles out again, right? Like it's just the nature of Guild Wars 2, right? That you have this huge player spike whenever there's a patch, and then it just like drops off until the next batch of content, right?
What about all those people logging in for the fucking free statuettes and transmutation fucking charges? I got 1,500 of them, dude. I don't need any more.
Listen, okay, I'm ready because they sometimes give you a free Blackline key, Joel. Okay, you know that?
Yeah.
I've got 25 accounts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 25 free Blackline
25
keys.
Free keys,
yeah.
Dude.
Oh, and speaking of Blackline keys, so I'm an idiot, okay, and Age Night Road baited me really hard, dude. I said, yeah, I'm going 250 keys Winter's Day,
he has 500.
Yeah, he called me out and said, look, are you going to let me out meme you? He goes for 500. I've got 506 keys now, guys. Let's fucking go, okay? I am the real winner. Age, He's done.
Do you expect
He's
they'll
done.
put something?
No, the next key's gonna suck. It's gonna have fucking Winter's Day bullshit in it. We've already
That's what I'm
experienced this key
thinking.
before. It's gonna be terrible. You
Right,
memed
well,
yourself.
holy
You're gonna have to like
shit.
you're gonna be sitting on those keys for like 6 months.
I've memed myself.
I actually got pretty hyped around this current one though. It benefited both
Yeah.
1v1 and PvP, but then the actual content of the chest was like the worst skins I've ever seen in my fucking life. So
Yeah.
I was kind of upset.
Wait,
Yeah.
the Halloween thing though, that changed, right? I mean, they had one infusion or something before, right?
Yes.
Now
they're
now
gonna
they
put the
have a
Winter's
lot
Day
more.
one. They're gonna put the Winter's Day infusion in the Christmas one. Dude, easy. Yeah. I'm gonna.
You think so?
Oh, well, I think they might do something similar. Yeah. Definitely.
I wish they did something just completely new, right?
Oh. What do you think they should do then? What should be?
I don't know, something like with Halloween. I mean, those were completely new. They weren't the old ones.
Yeah.
You mean the infusions, right?
Or anything really, not just infusions.
Like a Christmas tree outfit? I'd love to dress up as a Christmas tree and running around in PvP, dude. That'd be fucking amazing. Just literally just a giant tree. I don't care if I can't see my weapons, dude. It'd be big memes. That's content for me. Like, give me some fucking memey shit.
Have we been around to Winter's Day in the current festival refresh, or is Halloween the first one that got redone? No, they did. Queen's Gauntlet, that's back.
Yeah.
Okay, that got refreshed. And then it was Halloween. Are those the only two ones we've experienced? Because they're reworking all the festivals, right? What they're doing is they're making the festivals automated, right? They're making them so they have like these big annual achievements, right? And then they have like the ones that you can.
I don't like the annual system.
Was Sab not included then?
Well, yeah, SAB. I mean, that's been fixed for a while, but yeah, I suppose you could consider. Yeah, you consider that as.
Yeah, I mean, like, was it any different? Because it was the first time I ever did it, so I just didn't know if they changed anything with. Sab
Oh no, they just made it work again. Right, they just fixed it. I think.
Oh, it was broken, was it? Oh,
yeah,
standard.
Yeah, stuff went really funky with HOT, right? Like all the new technology they added, I think, just completely balked it. But they fixed it, so that was so it was the same. But yeah, so wait, I cannot recall if they're gonna rework Winter's Day because or is this the second time? No, it must be. No, it must be. This must be the first Winter's Day with this kind of new festival system implemented. So there's certainly gonna be a lot of new reward. There'll probably be new rewards. So I think Frosty might be right with regards to that. And certainly
with the festival system. I mean, wasn't it really lame for the Halloween one? Like, literally no rewards, just like random achievements.
Yeah, like a bunch of extra achievement points. There's a few skins.
I don't like it at all. Like, it looks incredibly messy, and I had no idea what was going on. I didn't do any of the achievements. I didn't care.
Whoa.
Yeah, me either.
I just did the achievements because it was so much free AP. I got that 30k. Got that 400 gems, boys. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm rich. The
most exciting thing I had like with the Halloween was I actually did not know that there was like the skeleton in the Lunatic Inquisition.
Ah,
that was the big thing. Yeah,
you got world's first on that, right? I think actually.
World first kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
World's first lunatic skeleton CM. It's good. So I think we'll definitely see some new stuff with Winter's Day, but to kind of coming back to the topic, right? What remains to be seen is what's going to be packaged along with Winter's Day, right? Like if it's going to be if it's going to be the balance patch, for example, which on itself it is actually a lot of content. I think this is something that kind of deserves a little more credit. Balance patch is huge content, right? Especially if you're a more hardcore player, right? Obviously, if you play, if you're a casual player, you just you fail to one burn the Octavine, stuff like that, right? That if that's your jam, then obviously like the balance of the game is kind of secondary. It's not really relevant to your enjoyment of the game. But if you're a more hardcore player, you do some world versus world, you actually try hard world versus world, PvP, PvE, that sort of thing, then suddenly, wow, you've got a huge amount of content, right? Because if it radically changes a lot of things, then suddenly the nerds have got to get the spreadsheets out. You got to figure out what's the best thing. You'll be playing around with builds, like 1v1ing in PvP, like figuring out, like, is this rune good? Like, is this spec good? Is this trait good? That sort of thing. It's a lot of content that actually gets added to the game. Oh, well, no, I was just saying in general, I think balance patches are just underappreciated.
It's definitely the cheapest content for them to develop. like it's 3 guys and a whiteboard changing some numbers on a spreadsheet. Like, you don't have to like you don't have to. You're not like creating new art assets and like new like rigging and stuff. Like it's pretty.
Oh, speaking of which, by the way, the new Mistforge set on PvP is fucking amazing. I'm really happy with that. The Mistforge Glorious PvP set is we finally have some fucking pixels, dude. It's so good.
Okay, I mean, it's still the same armor set. It's still the same one reskinned a little bit. Just
it looks less middle, dude.
I wouldn't say I'd be happy with it. This is what it should have been when the armor set came out. The first and the second one shouldn't have even existed. This should have been the first rendition. So think about it. This you've been waiting for this for 3 years. All right, this armor set for 3 years. Okay, now think about it. Was that worth it?
No,
I don't think so.
One thing to note, by the way,
it takes 9 months to do an armor set.
The Ascended set looks better.
Sets.
The Legendary set actually looks worse than the Ascended set. That's one thing to note. Like if you have a full Legendary PvP set from the previous, like the previous fucking Mistforge set or whatever the fuck, Glorious set, the Ardent Glorious even, then it actually looks worse. It doesn't have any particle effects whatsoever. It doesn't immediately upgrade to like the Mistforged, which I think it should. I think the Legendary set should by default look like the Mistforge set. But now what they've said is that you should turn the Mistforge set into its own Legendary set in order for it to be a Legendary set that looks like that. So that you actually, there's now 2 PvP Legendary sets, one of which is the one with the particle effect and one of which is the one without. And I'm halfway through the one without and I feel bad. Like, why don't they just convert it? Why don't they just make it so that there's only one Legendary PvP set and it defaults to that? Like, why not?
That's a little bit.
That would have been a good idea too when they added the PvP set. Just put the skin on it, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? There's absolutely no point in having 2 PvP Legendary sets. There's absolutely no point. So I hope that they do fix that.
Yeah, that is a bit
kind of
dumb. Yeah, that is a bit unusual, but at least it's happened already, right? You've got the you've got the legendary, got that legendary armor, just like those disgusting elitist raiders, you got that going.
I only have 2 pieces, Teapot.
Yeah, only 2 pieces.
I'd rather. I'm one of those people that I got the weapons that I wanted, and I was like, well, I need something to do, so I got a couple of legendary armor pieces. But then part of me just wants to get Quip or like some meme ass Quaggan shield, even though I don't use anything with a shield, just because I want to meme. I want to slosh about in PvP. So I don't think there's much incentive for people in PvP to even want a legendary set. I only started making the legendary armor set because I thought it was getting a new particle effect. And then Angels told me it was only an Ascended set. So I was really upset. And then I kind of regretted making those 2 pieces.
Of course, right? I mean, obviously in PvP, the whole almost like gear is not as relevant by design. Of course, that's how it's supposed to be. So you can play exactly what you want whenever you want, and of course it's all standardized anyway. So that is deliberately to kind of get away from that. But I suppose the incentive and just kind of overall, like the way Guild Wars 2 is, like you're supposed to kind of play all the game modes, right? And what I really do enjoy in the way that the game is currently structured in terms of rewards is that if you play a lot of one game mode, you can transition to the others pretty smoothly, right? And that's something that Legendary Armor can do. For example, what would be, for example, for you, George, I suppose you wanted to play Hollowsmith, right? There's like 2 builds you can play. You can play Condi Hollow and you can play Power Hollow. Like with your Legendary Armor, it would be very easy for you to swap between the 2 there, right? So without having to craft an additional set. So, there is that, right? Or suppose, and then on top of that, suppose you wanted to go into World versus World and you wanted to roam on your Hollowsmith as well. Well, that's great. So now you can get that Marauder gear as well and swap out the runes there. So that's kind of what the reward is there.
Why do you add this thing to PvP that has no relevance in PvP and is just an alternate method of getting X for PvE players?
I think that's
PvP. Like you're saying that you should play all the game modes, but I don't know. Like that's you can't expect that of everyone.
No, I think that's a little bit of a cynical way to look at it. That's kind of the point, isn't it? It's like
I kind of agree with Frosty though.
Well, it's true, but like, what can you reward people with it in PvP?
Skins.
Well, maybe you can make the skin.
You can get all the skins. You can get every skin in the game, but you don't even have to do your dungeons. You want to get if you can get Dungeoneer without ever stepping foot in a dungeon.
He has no skin.
But PvEers can have them. I
has
want my
no
own
meaning.
special ones.
It has no meaning at all. If you make the legendary armor and you're a PvP only player, you've literally just wasted your time. There's nothing that you can do with it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's literally useless.
To be fair, it is more. I mean, yeah, like it's a bit of a symbolic thing, right? Legendary armor in all game modes. That's kind, you know.
So you see the fucking purple fucking text on the armor.
No,
They only added it to World v World and PvP to shut people up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They had no intention of doing it until people cried.
It's
so,
just because people wanted it, right? That's why they added it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of skins, that's you know, yeah, it's fine, right? But I mean, there aren't a lot of exclusive skins in the entire game, though. I think it's worth noting.
Doesn't need to even be an exclusive skin, like fucking hell.
But I mean, most skins can be acquired from anywhere, right? There aren't a lot of skins that you're locked into doing a game mode, right? That goes for PvE as well.
Except the opening of the Black Lion chest game mode. Those are pretty exclusive.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff you can just acquire from everywhere. Like in fact, most stuff is like that. Like there's not a lot of exclusive stuff. So,
see, I think that's good. That's a good thing, right? For in terms of business decision, like that's a good thing because it means that there's crossover. So if somebody doesn't want to play the PvE element, like they don't want to spam dungeons to get a set, but they love playing PvP, they can unlock a full dungeon set via doing PvP reward tracks and just like fucking casually build it up. But like at the same time, as somebody who pretty much only plays PvP, exclusive rewards incentivizes me to play it, right? And I think that if you had more exclusive rewards that weren't linked to any other game mode, then people from PvE and World v World might be inclined to step into PvP. As we've seen with the new Ascended set, everyone comes in, they're like, holy shit, like what's that skin, dude? What's that back piece? And I have to like explain to people over and over again, it's the new Ascended set for PvP. Now people are like grinding through the next 75 ranks because they got to rank 20, they did some fucking rank PvP, they got a few ranks extra, and they were like, well, fuck this shit, I hate this, I'm not going to play PvP anymore. But now they're incentivized, right? So it's people that's giving the game mode a chance. If they had more things like that to incentivize people along the way, maybe it's not as like time intensive as the current set, but maybe if there was just like a few little skins, or whether they're just weapon skins, or of course they've just started doing those as well, which is great. But it's only just started happening. I mean, there's been like 5 years, 6 years they could have done stuff like this. So maybe if they made more of an effort to make exclusive rewards, then maybe there would be more people in PvP, because people in PvP don't probably necessarily care about PvE, but maybe people in PvE who are like achievement hunters or skin hunters, they are going to come into PvP just to unlock those things. But we don't give a shit. We just want to fucking get our exclusive shit and feel really good at the game, or feel like we have like something that PvEers don't because we're good at PvP.
Well, you kind of have that now with the skin. I mean,
yeah.
And the
I mean, now we do.
weapons,
that's my point.
I don't think people really like the obsidian skins for some reason, but well, yeah.
Well, I did reference like the rifle that like glows red on the tip. It's like white and red, and I call it the tampon rifle. Like that. I mean, I'm not even a massive fan of it, but at least it's exclusive. It is what it is, but there's going to be some people that look at that and like it.
Yeah.
So.
No. Yeah, I am in complete agreement. I think exclusivity is something that should be increased everywhere, right? It absolutely. There aren't nearly enough exclusive rewards in the game. Like this is something I always kind of complain about. Like the game is too convenient. The game is just too convenient, right? Like you can get everything anywhere because essentially gold is everything, right? Like fuck it, you can get legendary weapons with gold. That's that it should be more. It should be more exclusive. Like, everything should be there, right? But however, I think the community would not be happy with that if they made everything more exclusive. I mean, stuff like I think the best example of this is actually not even PvP. It's fucking raids, dude. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, legendary armor triggers people. Yeah, like legendary armor. Oh boy, that triggers people. It triggered the hell out of the World versus World and PvP community for a start, actually, with the whole legendary armor thing. So exclusivity.
Yeah, then when they added it to PvP, it was useless. How about that?
Well, do you know what, Frosty? I never miss an opportunity to lord this over people. I told the World versus Worlders that it's not even good, okay? And they didn't listen to me, okay?
Okay, but this is World versus World. In World versus World, you can actually use the legendary armor to your advantage. You actually have things that you can do with it. In PvP, literally worthless.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're not going to use the stats on PvP. I mean,
yeah.
It looks cool, though. Legendary armor looks pretty cool. So that, it's got that going.
The PvP one does it.
You got cool wings.
It does now. It looks okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, no, but this was back in the day.
Yeah, but anyway, that's a bit of an aside. I think that'll do it for that. Oh yeah, go ahead.
So this is kind of like related, but not. If you want to see the most triggered people on Reddit, don't search for like raids or PvP or whatever. Search for the word accessible.
Ooh.
And sort by like controversial. You will find like all the threads about people like complaining that like the most like inane shit is inaccessible and it has to be changed. Like I saw a thread on Reddit that was complaining that the Rune and Sigil revamp has made runes inaccessible because now the price of them has gone up to like 30 silver each. Like that's and they were legit mad, legit angry that runes are now inaccessible because they're 30 silver each. Like,
well, I made a few enemies because I referenced the majority of the game community as like people that are, in their 40s, they have families and they get like a few hours on a Sunday to play the game. Like that's pretty much like how I think that the entire target market of Guild Wars 2 exists. And when you look at people that can't afford a rune or they can't afford like 6 runes at 30 silver each, just because they don't play the game, but they still want everything. So they don't want to raid, but they want the skins. They don't want to fucking work for the legendary, but they want the legendary. There's just so many people that will always complain. And I think that it's hard to please everybody when your target market is a casual audience that don't play the game. And they log in for their story time and then they log off again. So
yeah. It's a really big disconnect. Again, this is from all 4 of us here, right? It's probably very difficult for us to kind of empathize with that perspective, right? It's a lot of the community seems to want everything with absolutely no obstacle, right? Okay, and I think this is obviously the most evident in say raids and PvP, right? Like, Joel, you probably wouldn't give a shit about the armor if like everyone got it, right? Like, I mean, obviously,
Agreed.
Right? You wouldn't say your title, right, for your rating,
Everyone
right?
will get it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing about the armor, though. It's not really prestige. It's just effectively a grind, right? It's just a grind. The PvP
if there
armor.
was like a prestigious legendary armor with a skin, or not even legendary armor with a skin, rather just a really cool skin, like a legendary skin.
Well,
I would have probably still played PvP.
Ben said this.
That's real.
Ben said that they would not allocate resources to making like a set of armor or like all of their creative team into doing something like that. That only like 0.1% of the fucking player base would have. Like maybe 10 people at once.
Here's a solution. Are you ready for a solution for that, Joe? Okay, you fucking ready, dude? Okay, make the the legendary armor is dyeable right now. Okay, it's dyeable.
Yes.
Okay, disable it being dyeable. It changes color based on rating.
Ooh. Then people have to get good, otherwise they're going to be bronze.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that would be kind of spicy, right? That would be pretty cool.
Like that.
Yeah, so
when you're walking through the lobby, you're just exposing yourself. Even if you try and hide that little fucking icon because you're just so upset by it. Holy shit! Imagine all the gold people walking around. Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
There's nothing to be ashamed of.
That's spicy news, dude. I like that.
And you drop your rating exactly where you want the color to be because you don't care about it.
The amount of people that like intentionally silver because it's just a nice whitish color. Like
I don't know, solid, but I think stuff like that could be good. Like having some. So well, anyway, to go back to the topic, right? Like you care about us here, right? In particular. Oh yes, us here. Oh yes. A lot of the people watching the stream as well, probably agree with us. That's why they're here, right? Will kind of feel the same way, right? It's the prestige is what kind of attracts us to something, right? If it's completely free, like no one cares, right? It's not relevant. But that's not the mindset of a lot of the community. And I think we mustn't forget that, right? It's most people just want everything for nothing, right? And that's very unusual, right? It's very difficult for us to empathize with, but that is actually how people feel, right? And it is foolish to deny that. So it's more of a case of like how can ArenaNet balance these two very different types of player, very different type of audience, in the Guild Wars 2 community, and it's very difficult because effectively pulling in opposite directions. Okay, every change that we might make that we would love, like they would hate for the same reason. Right, that's when you're in like the death zone. Okay, like when people look at a quality and say, "Aha, I like this," and then the same group of people look at the same quality and say, "No, I don't like this," and it's for the same reason, right? For example, if there's like, for example, like monthly AT gizmo, I love the monthly AT gizmo because it's only accessible to, whoever pays the most. PvPers. Okay, but
all that, but they get banned anyway. Yeah. Like they don't. If they're caught cheating.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know about that.
but all memes aside, right? Some people, if you talk about the titles, right? Some people hate the titles purely because they couldn't get them, right? Because they had AP attached to them, right? And for the same reason that I think that's a great idea. Like God of PvP is a great idea because it's exclusive. A lot of people
10,000 AP.
Yeah, fuck it. Like I know I would be in favor of actually adding like 100 plus AP to it, dude. It would trigger people so much. It'd be hilarious, dude. Oh my god.
100 is not enough, man.
250. Okay.
Like
500.
Your conflict there.
500 to 1,000.
1,000.
Starting to get there,
Like Teapot, you're discussing this tearing, right? So like they're being torn in both directions.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It comes down to a business decision on the part of ArenaNet, right?
Well, we're going to lose them. Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah. So if you, but you could though, because you'd have to anticipate where the majority of the money's coming from. Like you'd have to like literally look at the accounts and you have to say, how often do these people log in? How much money do they spend on average? How often do these people that play the game all day spend money? Like where is the majority of the money coming from? Where is the majority of the content, actually being played? Yada, yada, yada. And then they would have to make the decision to potentially piss off those people that play once every Sunday and maybe say goodbye to that, that audience. But then if they made the game more hardcore and made the game like applicable to more people with, that have like more time to play the game, that are going to keep spending that money based on whatever that, analytical trend is that they've pulled from that data, then maybe the game can take off again. But as long as they try to tailor to both, they're not going to appeal to both simultaneously to the highest amount. Like, you can't appeal to both like that. You have to pick one if you want to grow the game. So at the moment, I think that the game is tailored towards casual players because they don't want to make anything gear grindy. They don't want to make people have to invest so much time. And therefore, the game is going to stay in its current state. It's going to be, it's going to stagnate and then it's going to drop, right? I can't really see the game picking up apart from like maybe getting a few extra people that, log in once every Sunday. It's not going to appeal to a competitive market, people that want to play the game a lot. People will drop off when they find the next big thing. And that's why people keep going, Ashes of Creation. It's like they're looking for the next MMO, but Guild Wars 2 is the only one that really provides them with, whatever content they want at the moment. Do you think that like that's true? Do you think that like anybody coming into the game is going to be equally as like excited by this? I mean, I feel like anybody that plays hardcore MMOs is going to like play it for like, a month or so and go, oh, well, I've got everything. What do I do now?
Well, if you come into the game, no way, right? Like there's actually a shit ton to do if you come into the game, relatively recently, right? There's a lot to do in the game. But certainly, yeah, like it is difficult for them to cater to both. But yeah, in my opinion, like I mean, there's a few things that I would kind of disagree on. I mean, like the game isn't exactly stagnating. It's pretty much doing the best it's ever done, and that's very, that's weird. No, it is in terms of cash actually. Look at the numbers, dude.
I know.
Shit doesn't
like its quarterly earnings are high. I'll give you that.
Not laughing at the
they've
numbers.
Introduced mounts, dude. Yeah. It's mounts and mount skins and fucking Black Lion chest gambling to get those mount skins and fucking skins galore. It like just because they're making money doesn't mean the community's growing. And I would say that yes, there has been a trend in like in their profit margins and whatever on their quarterly reports, but obviously we don't see the stats of like who's actually playing the game, right? But we didn't really see a ginormous turnout for their their charity stream that actually got mailed out to everybody, right? You would have thought that if the community was huge, then there might have been like 5 figures of viewers, but I'm pretty sure it didn't really break. I can't really remember. I think it didn't even break like 3,000 people, 4,000 people.
The casual community doesn't engage with Twitch very much at all. That's
yeah, but it's literally mailed to them.
No, they hate outside the game shit. Like that's like their pet peeve is like, why do I have to go to Snow Crows or Meta Battle to find builds? Like there should be an in-game thing to making good builds. Like they're just insanely obsessed with like not going to outside the game resources. And then you ask them why, and they're like, oh, I have more fun playing the game than like watching a YouTube video or going to a website or going to the forums. Like they just don't want, they want to like jump in the game and like not even acknowledge that there's like a community outside the game.
The community would literally like outrage if it was anything but a charity stream that was mailed to them. If it was something else, they would literally just go fucking nuts on Reddit, man. New posts have like 10,000 upvotes. Fuck this game.
See, that's the thing. I would have thought that all the casuals would want to interact with all the different developers and that they'd actually have some form of interest in it. But it just really surprised me that even with a direct mail to every single account of everybody that logged in, like there still wasn't that big of a turnout. The fucking ERP pulled like what 3,000 more people. You know, like that is fucking ridiculous, and that's literally mailing everybody in the game. So I was just like, I was completely fucking dumbfounded by that. So
time to mail everyone in the game about the ARP.
Content they were
nice.
Streaming wasn't compelling. Like it wasn't.
I mean,
like,
yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't.
It
that,
was like watching devs fail at their own game.
Yeah.
Like that's fun for 5 minutes, but then you turn it off. Like maybe if there was compelling content, like they could have built up really big numbers. Like,
but then that's my point. What Brady just said, the Guild Wars 2 community isn't as big as we think, and that's my point. Is that I would have thought more people from the community would have at least answered to that. So I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty big on the Twitch Guild Wars 2 community, and I didn't spend 10 seconds watching their stream. Like, it just didn't interest me. So,
I mean, if you think about it, if somebody's not already watching Twitch, they probably won't, even if you send them a mail. If they've never like been to Twitch or whatever, they probably won't care about that mail that you sent to them.
So, I suppose so. But then,
yeah.
I don't know. I just would have expected something, or like a percentage, but there just wasn't. I don't know. It just felt like really, really poor. So I just remembered that, maybe all my efforts of thinking that maybe people would come and check out Twitch streams if there was some kind of reason for them to do it. There was a goal at the end of like, if you raised enough funds, there were like reveals for like PvP. There were so many PvPers there, by the way, that like were so fucking hyped. I can't actually think how many PvPers probably donated to the cause just so they could see the new 5v5 map and the 2v2 reveal. I bet there were so many, right? What I remember actually during the PvP, I think they made the most money during the PvP stream. Like we jumped up from like fucking, it was like, wasn't it like 11,000 up to like 15,000 or some shit? Or like they even raised the goal because we raised money so quickly because we wanted to see that shit, right? So, I'm surprised that even with the fact that they would have had something special that would have been given to them in game, like they got like free fucking tonic or some shit. Just the fact that they could have come in and just supported it a little bit would have resulted in them getting something for PvE. They still couldn't be fucking bothered. So, and like that brings me back to Twitch drops. Like I was, we were all ranting and raving about how Twitch drops might benefit the Twitch community, that people might come in and want to get like items and shit just because they come and watch a stream for a little while. I actually don't believe that anymore. I don't believe that for a second anymore because of the response that they got by mailing everybody about Twitch in the game and still nobody came. Like I genuinely think nobody gives a shit.
Well, there might be a bit of an extra impulse when you're getting free stuff.
Yeah, see, if it's gonna be something like a mount skin,
they won't do that.
Suddenly a lot more interested in Twitch.
I mean, what they're going to do is probably give like Black Lion Key or like a fucking half a ticket, like that's probably more likely to be what people would do with Twitch drops. I don't think they would give like a mount skin. I think that'd be too much of a loss. It needs to be
something exclusive so that they get mad, Yeah. Then they get mad and then they come do it anyway. That's how it goes.
Yeah, they get mad. Well, yeah, I mean, all this. Yeah, when in terms of like the size of the community, right? Like, and kind of appealing to kind of steer it back on course to appealing to the more hardcore player. No, I do. I know. I agree with you. Like, don't get me wrong here. I'm not saying that it's not correct to try and appeal to the hardcore player, right? I do think it is good to do that because those are the veterans, but there are also the people who are a bit fanatical about the game, all right, who will put on events, who will shill the game, who will kind of help newer players, right, and push the game on Twitch, on YouTube, places like that. And I think that ArenaNet does value that, right? Now, that is that is valued. That you see that in the partner program. So that is something that ArenaNet are interested in, right? So
I mean, is it that valued? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they have the partner program, but have they done really anything about it?
I mean, they sponsored. If you want to organize your own tournament in like any game mode except GVG, they will sponsor it.
Yeah, pretty much.
They do provide like
no,
rewards.
literally, that's like I get maybe it's against the rules for me to say, but that's like the one thing on the list that they say they will not sponsor.
Yeah,
it's kind of a meme. But
yeah, that is accurate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I know that they sponsor these things, obviously with gyms and all that, but I don't know. That's kind of baseline. Yeah. Maybe that's good enough.
But anyway, yeah, I think it is possible to do both. But it might not be possible to do both without upsetting people, right? Okay, that's the thing. Like, do I think ArenaNet should just not care? Yes, I do, because I think that I do believe that Jaws, right, especially in PvP, having more players invested in the game mode as opposed to the rewards are really important. But that's kind of why I worry about adding stuff that's adding a lot of rewards to these game modes, though, because I'm not sure you'll actually see the response you want exactly. I think if you was it season 5? If you recall season 5, right? They added the Ascended Shards of Glory for Ascended gear, right? For getting Ascended sets. It was actually insane. Like you get just for like finishing all your chests, you get a full set of Ascended gear. Woo! Nice. So obviously loads of people like funneled into the game, like going crazy, like grinding the hell out of it, farming all the rewards. But then they nerfed the hell out of it the next season, and suddenly, suddenly like, all those players are like, well, this isn't really worth my time anymore, right? And it's a dangerous game if you're playing with if you're trying to carrot people, right? Because you want people to actually care about the game mode, right? Okay, yeah. For example, you want the people who do the ATs every day, and not for gold, for fun, right? Okay, who really, they aspire, they do the tournaments outside of the game, they enter stuff like that, like of course, like the old ELSL stuff, right? Like they go for try and win the monthly, that sort of thing, like practice, like doing.
Well, people definitely seem to be responding to fame from it, or at least like community awareness of who they are. I know people that do that very often, or like they'll play the daily ATs just because they know that, for example, I'll cast it. Like the amount of people that will come up and oh, you casting the AT? And like just the fact that I'm going to discuss what they're doing and showcase their play is, an incentive for them to do it. And I do it very frequently for that reason, right? And the ones that I don't do very rarely actually, make more than maybe 7 or 8 teams. But the ones that I do have like, 15, 20 teams so that, they have a chance of being covered. And I think that if there was more of like excitement around, players and watching players and maybe, giving them a spotlight, maybe that would be an incentive to be good at PvP. But I don't know like how you would be able to do that beyond something, what I do at the moment.
That's where, catering more to the hardcore scene would certainly be good. But the thing I always say in response to this is that with regards to PvP, like PvP has landed in that respect, right? In my opinion, it's kind of got all it needs. You've got ATs, you've got in particular the monthly. You have a ranked system that vaguely works and has rewards for being good at it, and you can get your God of PvP, like for getting rank 1. Like, if the incentive is there, right? In my opinion, like for me, I feel like it's kind of enough, right? I do think that it would be kind of cool to have some intermediary stuff, right? I think a good way to do that could be like gizmos in a way, or at least like the llamas maybe, like or some of the ascended gear. I think like buffing the AT rewards could actually be quite interesting. But like
I honestly just think it's variance. It's the fact that people have been playing Conquest for like 6 years and they want to do something.
It's not a problem for League of Legends, though, is it?
No, I don't think that's an issue, and
They
I
have
think they'll
ARAM.
come up with even more rewards. I mean, the incentive. You could say that maybe there's not enough incentive for like the mid-tier player, but I don't know. I think there's plenty to do. They just need to make it fun.
Yeah, and well, I think that then we go full circle, right, to the balance. I
Comes
think that
back to balance, yeah.
Yeah, I think people are a little frustrated, right? And to be honest, it doesn't even have to be, in a way, it doesn't even have to be good, right? Just keeping the game fresh will get people back into it, right, and start playing again, right? If it changes, even if it's still a bit busted, just having it different will make it fresh, right, and get people playing again. You know, like I think that's just right off the bat, it will be good enough to just have it like that. So we've come full circle. Feels good, man. Yeah.
That's a big circle.
Yeah.
How long did that take us? Like 2 hours? Holy shit.
There's no reason to do ATs for mid-tier player. Who knows for sure he'll not be in the top 3. This is where this attitude is
loser mentality.
It's so incorrect though. Look, because
where's the growth?
No,
dude?
well look, because look, maybe you do your first AT, you get your lads, okay, you get your crew. You've just started playing PvP with some of your boys. Do an AT. You get fucking absolutely ass stomped, right? Okay, but then you come back the next day and like maybe you get 350 points, right? And then maybe you win that first game. And then in a week's time, like maybe you get to the top, you get to the semis,
But
right?
Teapot, you got to think about this, all right? Like the basic OR2 player from raids. I mean, they have issues in there, okay? They're like, this is too hard, all right? I refuse to spend time in here, okay? What do you think they're gonna do when they're actually faced against like players? People that try to play the game. I don't know.
I almost say that PvP is hard. I think PvP is harder to understand than PvE because at least PvE you can look up a guide to the boss and like you can telegraph the boss easier. With PvP, you don't know how smart or how dumb your opponent is. Like they might just literally fat finger everything on their keyboard and like face roll it. And then other people are just not going to waste all their buttons and they're going to fight you very methodically and strategically. So I think that PvP is much harder to understand for a new player.
Well, it's worse. Like PvE has been exhaustively solved, right? Okay. And what do I mean by that? Like basically, people know the best way to do things pretty much in PvE. Like there are so many people working on this stuff. Like within a few days of a patch, people will say, right, this is absolutely the best, right? Pretty much. Okay, pretty much. You'll find a few tricks here and there down the line, especially for like the really high-end strats, right? But in PvP, I mean, like, I don't. This is no flame, okay? Like no one in the entire game, as a team of 5, plays the game even close to the skill cap, right? It's not even close, in my opinion. It's just not there because people don't try hard as much as they used to, right? I mean, hey, there's no money in it, fair play, right? But the thing is, in PvE, you do actually have people playing it pretty much as well as you can, right? If you look at the records, right? Like even in fucking dungeons, dude, right? People like go as hard as possible in PvE. Like in a way, you have PvE being executed at like pretty much like the pinnacle, right?
I don't think many people care about that though.
Almost no one cares. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. That's just like not a lot of people care about it, and like the speed running scene is a little quiet. But you have people who are really like nailed it down, optimized. Whereas in PvP, you don't have as much. There are a lot more question marks, right? Okay, if that makes any sense, right? There's a lot more unknowns in PvP than there are in PvE. Like obviously by the nature of the game, because you're interacting with other players, it's always going to be like, wait, what the hell did he just do? These things happen, right? But there is also just like the community. I feel like the community is a lot more developed in PvE, right? You have people like Angels trying to rectify this, right? With Gods of PvP, for example, right? Trying to fix that.
New update is amazing, by the way.
Oh yeah. But it's kind of like Snowcrows have been doing this for ages, right? Like Snowcrows and QT have been doing this for a long ass time, and it's kind of spread through the community more, right? If you go into PvE, like a lot of people would know Snowcrows. In PvP, I think a depressingly few amount of people would be familiar with godsofpvp.net, right? If you kind of see what I'm alluding to here, right? Mm-hmm. It's not as well defined as PvE. Obviously, PvE is easier to define as well, of course, but it is, it certainly could be possible, and that's why there are, some problems, right, with how PvP is for newer players, because people are kind of confused, like running random shit. I mean, come on. Like, now I've watched enough of Angels and Jaws stream to know that, like, in PvP you see things. Okay, solo queue, you see things that change a man. Okay. Yeah. There we go. So
yeah, there it is.
Sometimes even change the game. The small little desk. Yeah.
So
that's amazing, by the way. Like, if people don't know about that, so the PvP developers had a little bit of an inside joke with Angels and decided to put a desk in the
game,
the missed challenges area, the champions rest area. At the top, it's like an exclusive PvP lobby area for people that have won tournaments and things in the past, or been ranked in the top like 25 for the last season, and you just go up there and infinitely smash the desk. And obviously, Angels is known for smashing his desk during PvP.
Now, of course, that desk is not absolutely due to Angels. Obviously, we cannot admit that. The desk is a humorous reference to various streamers of Guild Wars 2 PvP slamming their desks in frustration. That is yeah.
That's probably true, yeah.
Various.
Yes. I've actually I've never slammed my desk. Yeah, that's actually real.
I have.
Okay. I actually have.
Time.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think it's really cool. Like, at least there's going to be people that will maybe start playing the game. So, I mean, Angel said this, that people in like a couple of years, if Angels isn't around anymore, or at least like, the big meme is who know what it's there for. They'll be there and they'll be like, wait, what the fuck is this desk? Why is this desk here? Like, I think that's kind of funny. But...
Well, and now all he needs to do to get some publicity on the game again is just kind of start beef with an ArenaNet employee on Twitter, and then he can be in the game, and that will defend him, right? DeRoya's done that, and now Angels can do it. So yeah, there you go. That's pretty good. But I tell you what, that's enough of that business. Again, I think it's kind of wiggled around a little bit. Let's talk about something else, okay? And the other thing, kind of like, well, I suppose the only real thing left is actually 2v2. Okay.
Yeah.
2v2 is coming, guys, and this is something that has been requested for so long. Oh man, it's been a little while before we've had another kind of game mode for PvP, and it's definitely a good choice, of course, because I think a game mode a separate game mode to Conquest that would have been 5v5. Well, we saw how that worked out for Stronghold, right? So I think 2v2 is definitely a smart choice. But what my question about 2v2 is, what happens to it after this week is over?
It's not permanent. It's so it's a temporary thing, and depending on how well it goes, they may implement it as a permanent rank system. But it's more of a case of see how many people play the ATs, see what the what the consensus is regarding it. But at the moment, it exists as a random, infrequent, like it's part of a rotation of tournaments. So beginning now, I believe that the goal, or what Ben said the goal was every 2 to 3 months to have a new tournament. So there's going to be like the 2v2 right now, which gives you Duo of Destiny as a title, just to the people that win, and you get like a permanent Champions Arrest Pass.
How much do people like that, by the way, the 2v2 stuff? Like, is there a lot of interaction, or like?
What do you mean? Like, do you mean with, like, for example, ROM's tournament?
Well, I mean anything. Like, are people interested in it?
Well, yeah, I mean, like,
really
Rom's getting a lot of people playing it because he's been running 2v2 tournaments. He's been mixing it up as well. So, like, he was limiting it to, like, core only, and then HOT only, POF only, and all that shit. So I think when there's a variance like that, that's really effective. And obviously, ArenaNet have been sponsoring those tournaments and providing people with gems and stuff.
And then, so continuing on, he said that in 2 to 3 months, he's hoping to bring back Tournament of Legends, which is going to provide both T1 and T2 legendaries as a reward. So it's not just limited to the previous set. And then, following 2 to 3 months from that, there may be other projects that may be like 3v3 or whatever, but it might go back to the 2v2s and give more people opportunities to get the Duo of Destiny. But at the moment, you're only going to be able to get that title now, like coming up on the 26th, which is the final of the 2v2, which obviously is in game right now. You can go and look at that. That's going to be happening soon. So I think like it's cool. It's a good thing. I think that a bit of variance doesn't hurt. But if that's going to stay in the game, then people need to really give it a go and give some constructive feedback. If there is anything that needs to change, if they like have any negative feedback, it needs to be adjusted. Blah blah blah. Provide it to the PvP team, and maybe they will, make it a permanent fixture. But the one thing that I personally have an issue with is that I know that the balance is based off of conquest, and I feel like for 2v2 to really do well, it needs its own balance. And I don't think that they have that, in a time scale. I don't think that they are prepared to put resources into that right now.
Yeah, because I think the concerning thing would be that it will be, it's going to get dominated by Firebrand Scourge, right?
Yeah, I mean that's what's currently being done on Rom's stream. Like you've got fucking Blackjack and Posey that are playing Firebrand and Scourge. So
have they been winning everything, or?
Yeah, they're the ones that were like sitting in the fucking base and like line of sighting all the down. Remember I was saying this before we even started the stream. I said that they're literally sitting in the base, waiting for the 2 minutes to be up, and then running into mid and using barrier, because barrier still heals you. You still get barrier.
It doesn't count as healing. Yeah, that's good. I like that.
It doesn't count. Yeah, so they just fucking sustain, and then it's dumb as fuck.
That's a nice meme. Okay,
So things need to change. Like, don't let them sit in the base. Like, put that AOE that shrinks. Put that in the starter zone, so that you can't sit in that box and use line of sight. Force people out into the arena, yada yada yada. So, I don't know. Like, as long as they provide a decent balance, like of their own, and maybe if they do make it a permanent fixture, then they will have their own balance associated with that. But as long as they do that, then there's no reason why not that wouldn't be successful.
Well, I think maybe perhaps that they could balance it by using the map, right? They could make maps that really don't favor Firebrand Scourge. Right? I think one thing you could do is like offset the arena shrinking and the healing. I actually thought this was how it was, by the way, but it actually isn't, is it? I thought that so healing gets disabled, right, and then the
I said this. Right? It was 2 minutes and 4 minutes. I believe that's what Ben told me, and they actually made it so that it all happens at 2 minutes.
But because of that, because it's at the same time, that kind of means that you don't get punished so much, right? For playing Firebrand Scourge in a way, right? So I think adjusting like the balance on that could help, right? If there was a bit of time where you could pick at the Firebrand and still kite them around and not directly engage, as opposed to like, oh shit, the arena's shrinking, so that suddenly I'm going to be forced to have like a final battle. That could kind of help alleviate that problem.
That you can still utilize line of sight and things like that in that like 4 minute window, and like you'll still be able to kite, but you won't be able to heal. So that it opens it up to other comps. Like, yeah, I agree. Like, I think that would actually be better, but the way that they've done it, like everything happens at once. So
yeah, and well, to me, just overall, it does seem like a bit of a waste almost, right? That we'll only see this once a year, right? If that was how it's going to be, right? It would be, if you've got a different event every 3 months. It just seems like a bit of a shame that you only get to play 2v2 ATs for a very brief period of time.
But I think this because it's a testing period, isn't it? So like they just want to make sure that it actually works and people are interested in it before they make it a permanent fixture. So.
Yep, I suppose.
Let's just scrap 5v5 and just
just get rid of conquest.
Just 2v2.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Let's do arenas. Let's go.
Player base is too small for 5v5. It needs to just go to 2v2 permanently. Make like 4 new maps for 2v2 that are like interesting look. Balance for 2v2. That way they don't have to balance for conquest anymore.
Well, Syndrome said something recently to me. I'd have to fucking search for it, but he made like a pretty compelling argument against like what they need to do to change shit up. It was something along the lines of like they need to remove unranked or something. To incentivize people to just constantly play ranked and have themselves like a rating, and then maybe that way there would be equal balance in terms of rating skill, and you wouldn't be seeing like legendary players with fucking silver players because all the silver players would be playing against silver players and so on and so forth. Like the queues would get smaller in terms of wait time, and there'd be a better distribution of players who are actually forced into the game, and so there's just no one ranked system.
Do you think people would just not play PvP if they were forced to play ranked? Because I feel
think
like
so.
there's a lot of snowflake people out there who are like, oh, I play unranked because I don't want the ego bruise that would come out with finding out that I actually suck if I played ranked and got down to bronze. Like,
yeah, but I mean, I want the same
people...
thing. But I would want unranked to exist because I want to test builds, right? So I don't want to go into ranked and fuck my team over at like, you know, plateau or whatever, just because I choose to try out some fucking meme because I'm drunk or something, right? I feel like having an opportunity to go and piss around in an automated queue is good. But at the same time, obviously, we want to try and flood people into the ranked queues so that people get to, you know, experience like a solid community of PvP, and it's not just the same recycled people. So I don't know. It was just an idea that
it would be certainly an interesting idea, actually. But yeah, it may drive people away, and well, a lot of people already do. You know, like they just want to farm dailies, right? So you know, it would certainly be pretty interesting, actually.
He also said revamp hotjoin. He said revamp hotjoin, move all the private servers with different passwords and settings to custom where they can be. Reintroduce hotjoin with different things where people can try their unranked builds to give life into hotjoin, and ranked gets an infusion of people from unranked. So, you know, basically the unranked queue just translates back into ranked, and then hotjoin is where all the current unranked players go. So it'd be a redistribution of people playing.
It's certainly true, but the one concern would be that it's an infusion of people who really don't care about winning that much into PvP. And that's, I mean, look, okay.
They don't right now anyway.
Yeah, that's what I mean,
though.
I mean, there's already a fair few people who are maybe not too overly concerned about actually trying. So I'm not sure if you want that exactly. And in terms of player distribution, I mean, it would shorten queue times, but the match quality might even decrease, right? Because you're going to end up with like, you're gonna end up with like people like ultra casuals mixed in with like the silver people as well, right? And that
I don't. Well, I mean, it might be that at the very start, but that's just how it is. I don't know.
I think you would have to give it time. Yeah,
it might even help. Yeah, I mean,
it wouldn't
would
take that long. Even it's like it wouldn't change anything for you know, the people that get the trash players, because I mean, they're clueless. Literally, like. It's not like you're playing with people that play a lot of PvP and, you know, they have some understanding. No, it's not at all. There would be no difference. I would probably notice nothing.
I think maybe it's more so at the top end where we see like the huge difference in player skill. Like when you look at people like, you know,
lower skill players would get like more people playing with them, which would like make it better for them, and that's cool.
But maybe that would inherently benefit the PvP community because then you're going to have more people playing consistently and want to grow. Perhaps I don't know.
Here's a risky change that I would give. Actually, like, this might backfire horribly. Okay, but and this is something that I think will be quite cool in World versus World as well. Actually, make people care about it more. Just make the rewards way better if you're fucking good, right? Okay, let's say you know how you get extra pips, right? In PvP, just like fuck it, make it so you get extra reward track if you're higher rated, extra pips, and you rank up faster all at the same time. Like boom, boom, boom. Let's go, right? Make it so that you get. You can trade in tokens you get for being good at the game. Say you finish the season at 1,732 rating, okay? At the end of the season, those rating points convert into a currency that you can use to get more rewards when you play PvP, right? Okay, or something like that.
Do you think they could get away with that easily? Like, do you think...
I think people would complain.
There might be
people would complain, but I mean, people always complain. Would it be bad, or would it be, you know?
I think it'd be good. I mean, I would like it, but at the same time, like I said, I think people would complain. People would go, "Well, I'm not going to play PvP then because I'm not going to be that good." So I don't like that somebody's getting
stuff faster than me.
Well,
Fuck
say
them.
if you
I want my casual
don't
play.
increase the amount of rewards that the people get right now, and you just increase it for the people that are higher rated.
Perhaps just don't tell them.
Just don't tell them.
Just
Yeah.
don't, they won't know.
Yeah.
They
won't notice. They'll never know.
Just let Ben tell us in the streams, dude, and then
Yeah.
like let them find out like in a year when they actually go into the game mode. That's fine.
Just make it sure, you know, that just don't tell the casuals that the good players get the dank rewards.
They don't read the patch notes anyway. They'll never know.
They'll never know. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody in the chat said they don't know how to get to the patch notes.
Yeah, exactly. They're not in
Easy.
game.
Ah, yeah, okay. But yeah, that I think that sort of thing could actually be beneficial. I mean, I talked about this the other day on the stream. It's like, imagine if you got like more rewards for killing bosses fast in raids, right? Like, oh, that would be extra spicy, right? Or if the challenge modes were repeatable in raids, like honestly, you'd see people go for it, right? And they'd be forced to improve their skill level. And I think you could kind of see the same thing in PvP, right? You know, be rewarded for getting better at the game, and
you
hopefully,
know, like the mini games in HOT.
The adventures, yeah.
Whatever. I don't know what the actual. I just call them mini games. I don't know what they're actually called.
Yeah.
Imagine something like that, where like when you enter a raid wing or something, or when you're just about to like engage on a boss, say for example, right next to the challenge mode, there's something there that has a leaderboard list of who has the fastest kill as a guild or whatever. That would be cool.
Yeah. You want to love? I tell you what, Nike. Do you want to tell the story of fractal leaderboards?
There is no.
Wait, is this something that has happened? And
the story is that they said, yeah, we're gonna have fractal leaderboards, and then it never happened. And because there's literally no way to implement it in a way that makes any sense whatsoever. And then, yeah, I mean, I went into the ArenaNet official Twitch chat for something, and I said, hey, where are the fractal leaderboards? And I got banned for like 4 years till they finally unbanned me. Like, just for asking where the leaderboards are. Yeah.
Why?
Because it was, I think they said like, this stream isn't about fractal leaderboards, so don't bring it up. And I was like, hey, where are the fractal leaderboards? And they banned me. Like, okay, sure.
Oh my
whatever.
God. I mean, it just seems to me that they just feel oppressed by their audience. Like I guarantee the reason that fractal leaderboard, I mean, I don't even know this scenario, but I guarantee the reason it didn't happen was because of an outcry on the forums or something. So maybe they just don't want to encourage competitiveness. They don't even allow you to inspect each other. Like you can't even see what gear people have because they don't want to encourage elitism. So maybe that's another reason why they're not introducing leaderboard systems. Again, this is like whether they're appealing too much to the casual market. If they want to appeal to both, you know, as a business decision, they need to give you something. They need to give like incentive at an elitist level in some way or form. Which obviously is, they've done that in certain ways, like obviously with the monthly gizmos and ATs. Like that's obviously something that really benefits the very top percentage. And you know, fuck the casuals as far as that goes. Like they're never going to get that. They're never going to see that. That's only going to be theirs when every single PvPer has died off, right? So as long as there's something that benefits, I think PvE in the same way, then I think it's deserved. I think it's well deserved.
Yeah, just in general, stuff like that is always good. If you're looking to improve the quality of PvP games, that would be the approach, right? And well, God knows we need it in PvE because my goodness, dude, some players in raids, like it's unbelievable. I mean, it's frightening.
I would pay 2,000 gems for a gizmo in the gem store that let me inspect people. Oh my God, that would be. Like, I would like
pay to win.
I would like reinvent myself as a streamer because I would just like stream for 8 hours a day of just like inspecting people, like joining pugs and inspecting people and like commenting. Like it would be, and then leaving the pug after I saw all the other people and said what I need to say.
That would be so funny, actually.
It would be the best stream ever. It would be so toxic, but
it's
like,
so toxic. I was gonna say it's literally the most toxic thing.
But,
but
now we
why
did.
are you so surprised by that?
But like the funny thing about that is like, if you put up like an LFG that was like looking for a DPS weaver or whatever, and some like weaver joins your group and you inspect and you see he's got like cleric's gear on, like, and you kicked him, people would be like, oh, that's toxic. But that's like a valid reason for kicking someone. Like he's literally not, he's misrepresenting himself and you're kicking him. Like that's perfectly reasonable as far as I'm concerned.
They lied, therefore they should be gone.
And now we have like all these like ping kill proof, ping your chest. Like we have all these like hoops that we make people jump through that like are just completely like ridiculous, like that are like nonsensical exclusionary things. Like at least with Gear Inspect, you'd have like sensible exclusionary things happening, but with instead now it's like completely nonsensical things. Like,
well, ArenaNet cocked themselves because they didn't want the elitism,
Yeah.
did they? So like
Yeah, but
the players found their own way to be elitist. So they might as well
Exactly.
just put Inspect in, dude. Like just let them and just like maybe
Exactly.
reduce the elitism a little bit. You know? So
I think somebody should just like run the gear checker and stream every day, just going into pugs and just
you'd get banned
checking
straight away,
everybody's
dude.
gear.
Yeah.
Oh
You'd
yeah,
get
but
so
just
banned.
keep on liking the accounts.
Oh,
Easy.
Yeah.
the ROM boys have arrived, by the way. Wow, amazing.
The 2v2 tournament leader.
Yeah. 2v2 tournament leader, indeed. But yeah, I mean,
The big
gear
boy.
checking will be funny, but I think you'd be amazed how many people are run. I think across all the game modes, how many people just run completely random shit. Like even
I bet it's worse in World v World than anywhere else.
World vs. World is definitely the worst.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's 100% true.
Well, that's just because you're not gonna inspect people's gear in open world. I mean, if you look at world bosses, like
I
those
would.
events,
Ooh,
that
that'll
would
be
be
spicy.
the worst possible
Oh,
place.
I would love to do that. Like there's definitely some Octavines where you're like, what is going on with this 800 DPS guy? Like,
If you
what
could
is he
find-
doing?
You probably couldn't even find one player with full Zerker gear. That's real. That's
That would,
Tough.
you might find a few exciting things, that's for sure. But honestly, I think it's not, people aren't doing it maliciously. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about kind of community education and kind of awareness of what's going on. A very few, very low percentage of players kind of understand the game to a good degree, right? I think if you look at PvP, particularly in the lower rankings like bronze and silver, you aren't going to see people running good builds, right? They're going to be running like really weird ass shit. And you know what? I reckon even at say even in gold and perhaps even platinum, you're going to see some like really funky stuff still, right? Like it's like, what's going on here? But I mean, this is across all game modes. If you look in raids, like people that don't know what they're doing, right? They're running some like bizarre setups, right? It's like it's a bit sad, really, because I think people struggle and find a lot of barriers to themselves, like a lot of the time because they just don't have the a good setup, right? A good core understanding of what they need to do to beat the game, right? Like it's weird actually. Like Guild Wars 2 is a casual game, but it has one of the more intricate systems of most MMOs, and it really does bamboozle people a lot actually.
No
in
tutorials.
all the game modes. Well, no tutorials, but even if there was a tutorial, I don't think it would really help because people just don't. A lot of the player base doesn't pick up on what you should gear your character with, and I think that's a pretty difficult problem. Like what traits to run, stuff like that. Like it's a little bit confusing for a lot of players, I think.
Yeah, speaking of players not understanding the game at all, there was a thread on Reddit about dungeons that was on the front page like yesterday, and a guy was like, yeah, I would play dungeons more if it wasn't for all the stacking in a corner and LOSing the boss and bursting things down. That's not fun to me. And literally that hasn't been a strat that people used in dungeons since 2013. Like it's been 5 years since anyone, even pugs, did that. And I made that comment. I go, no one has done the stack in the corner and LOS the mobs for half a decade. And the person replies to me going, well, maybe you should take the time to educate the community and teach people that rather than making snarky comments on Reddit. And I go, like literally every dungeon record and speedrun that's ever happened has been posted on Reddit, and they all show not stacking in the corner. So I don't what else is there to do? Like besides you having to take it upon yourself to learn. But
some people complain for the sake of complaining.
Yeah, it's just complete ignorance. Like in 2013 when they stopped doing dungeons, that might have been a valid complaint, but it's not a valid complaint anymore. But they haven't taken the time to update their knowledge of the meta.
Well, I think that all of this actually kind of funnels back into what Joel was talking about ages ago about like how the community, ArenaNet are kind of taught in two different directions. That the game doesn't force you to be good at the game, right? Like there's very little that's going to be out of your reach if you aren't very good, right? Okay, like the game does not force you to actually understand it at all. So as a result of that, most people don't understand it, right? You don't, okay, like guys, okay, you know what? I've said this a lot. I'm going to keep saying it forever. Raids are insanely easy, guys, if you actually take the right approach to it. That is undeniable. I've taken complete newbies into raids, and with the correct strategy and composition, okay, we one-shot some bosses. One of the guys didn't even know how to get to the aerodrome, and we one-shot some bosses, okay? Seriously. We one-shot one of the hardest bosses in the game, Matthias. Okay,
I think raids could used to be harder, even because there are a lot of casual players and a lot of players that aren't really that good that say that raids are too easy for it to be interesting.
Yes, that's correct.
And that's
the march of time, though.
Doomsium.
That's the march of time when it comes to raids, like PvE in general, right?
Not even just time, though. Like, okay, so I have this friend that just came back with Wing 6's release.
Okay.
And they beat it within the first 2 days of trying out the wing. All of the bosses. That's, I don't know.
I mean, if you compare that to something like World of Warcraft, where people were literally, wiping on mythic content for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, obviously, the very top people.
CMs also took 2 days only.
That's ridiculous. I mean, like WoW is like literally mythic. It will take you months. Like you probably won't even kill the last boss in the wing for months. Like when you actually compare them side by side, you can really see that Guild Wars 2 is the casual game. And I think the sooner that more people admit that the game is casual and that it's it's never going to take the same approach as a hardcore game, then people's expectations might get lower and they might realize that actually they have it very fucking good for them. Like the casual audience should realize that the game is very much so tailored to them. That it's not as hard as they make it out to be, but they set themselves the barriers. It's not the game setting barriers. So people need to just have more faith in themselves to get a team together and do it. Like I think I get really pissed off when casuals complain about the game because I think everything is really like accessible and easy to do, and the only barriers that you make are your own limitations.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but that's completely true. The game is extremely accessible, and people need to recognize that. Like, and every game mode is very accessible, in my opinion. There are a lot of things you can do to get into it. There's a lot of resources out there as well. Like the community is really helpful. If you need help with something, just ask. Okay, but if you want to get into raids, no problem. There's loads of helpful people. You want to get into PvP? Great news. Okay, there's loads of resources you can find on YouTube. You can watch the streamers. Okay, stuff like that. Gods of PvP. Okay, there's builds you can find, even with some some guides and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff. Like all this is it's pretty easy to get into. If you just have to put in some effort, right? Okay, just a little bit, tiny bit of effort, and it seems to be too much in a lot of instances, unfortunately. But that's because the game is just too nice. Okay, the game's too nice to you. Guild Wars 2 does not fuck you over nearly enough. Okay, that's real.
The target market. That's their intention.
Yes, but I think that's it's a little bit doom. This is too doom and gloom, man. Okay, like this is not PMA.
What do you want me to say? This game is for elitists, dude.
Yeah. You want to be? You want to see
delusional as fuck.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I know. I agree. I agree. I think
fuck the casuals.
The game is kind of perfect for this sort of thing. It's a real shame that we don't get more stuff like that. The one thing I would say about like the WoW raid comparison, like in WoW raids, you get a shit ton of bosses. In Guild Wars 2, you get like 2 or 3. Okay, so there is that, and on top of that, the big difference is not actually mechanical complexity in a way. Actually, like for example, like some of the bosses in Guild Wars 2 are fairly mechanics dense. Like in Wing 6 in particular, it's just that they don't. There's no DPS check on them. If you took the enrage timers, or if you took the enrage timer on say Matthias, right, and you changed it from what is it like 10 minutes now I think, or is it 9 minutes? Okay, if you just set that to 3 minutes, okay, now that's a hard boss, right? Now that will be fucking brutal on for progression, right? For newer players.
It would have taken like 3 months before anyone killed it the first time. Yeah. Been pretty rough.
By today's standards, that DPS isn't actually crazy, but going into it, yeah, that'll be hard, right? Like,
do you think there's any merit in making enrage timers harder as time goes on?
I think there's merit, like in going back to the old wings, like wing 1, 2, 3, and adding CMs to the bosses with like
how likely do you think
bench level rewards. 0% chance of happening, but that's what
I can see CMs being added actually, because I mean, obviously I'm not a developer for ArenaNet, okay, but it makes sense to me, okay, that making Ender's Echo spawn is easier than making Doom, right? Like,
yeah,
that makes sense to me.
The core fight is the hard part. Like, adding a tweak to it is not that hard. Like, rumor has it from guilds that were in raid testing at the time that there was an infusion in Wing 2 that gave you the little Z's going over your head that Slothosaur has when you first encounter him and he's sleeping. And they cut that infusion out because they didn't want it to be like Ghostly Infusion where it was like super expensive. Because everyone, like, I don't know what the reason was. I wasn't there. But bring that infusion back. Make it the Matthias CM reward. That would be sweet.
But how long do you think it would take for those CMs to be irrelevant? Because, I mean, you guys cleared the CMs in Wing 6 really, really fast, and everybody was really excited that there was going to be CMs in the new wing as well. Like,
I mean,
boss, right?
they would be finished. They would be finished day 1 or day 2.
So what's the point? Like, because I mean, the content is so minimal. Like, I mean, if anything, I think that they should work on like an extra challenge, like super challenge mode, right? That makes it like really, really fucking hard, and you get like a crazy enrage timer, and you get like crazy brand new effects to the boss fight, and actually make it hard, right? Make it a challenge, not something that can be completed in 1 day, not 2 days. Give people a week to figure out all of these brand new fucking mechanics that fuck them up.
Literally make it so you don't even know if you can beat it. All right?
Yeah, Sad Tribulation mode in raids, dude.
Okay,
like,
right.
Literally.
Let's be honest.
Holy shit, make it cancer.
Okay, if they made a CM that hard, do you think ArenaNet could beat it? Come on.
No, but you make it so that you cannot beat it. You literally don't even know it's beatable. That's what you got to do. I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly believe that they could try and make something so hard for people to beat that it would actually be the challenge mode, and CM would become this like normal mode. You know, like the actual normal mode of the boss would be the complete joke, right? It literally becomes a really fucking hard boss, or they do it to 1 wing as a challenge. Like take some of the most simple bosses in the game and turn them into this clusterfuck of confusion where even Teapot is like, what the fuck just killed me? I don't know what hit me. That'd be cool. Like that would actually be really great. Fucking cool. But fuck the CMs that exist. Yeah. Don't put them on every boss. Just make a few and make them incredibly hard.
Yeah. No. I think that would be really awesome. Really cool thing that developers could do to refresh some of the older content, and at the same time while they do that, make it repeatable. Honestly, in general, raids need some repeatability to them. Like one of the things that I was thinking, you see, guys, I was there in bed, okay, wriggling around like crazy. Quilts are everywhere. And then I thought, you know what? If people who raid play like the boss once a week, okay, they don't think about improving at all, okay? And that's all they do in raids. And they AFK and wait for raid reset. So I thought, what if doing the bosses after the first clear was actually worthwhile? Like, then maybe people would actually do them more than once, okay? And maybe have fun and maybe actually improve, right? Because I thought, why is it that Salt players make the same mistake after 2 years? Oh, it's because they do the boss for 15 minutes, right? Okay, learn absolutely nothing, goes in one ear and out the other, and then they just come back and like do the exact same fuck up next week, right? So I think, what if doing the raids was actually repeatable? Okay, so you actually get something for doing it. So you do the bosses more than once a week, but also then you have the CMs being repeatable as well. So there's actually a reason to do the more challenging edition more than just once. So not only is it a better investment for the developers, okay, it incentivizes people to get good, which is kind of what this tea time has kind of segued into. How do we make people get good? Okay, let's call Bick, dude. Let's get fucking Bick in here, man. Let's go.
I mean, I kind of like Frosty's idea, like just lower the enrage timers at the very least. Like it's like those were all done. Especially wings 1, 2, and 3. Those enrage timers were designed for a very different skill level of the player base and like power creep level of the player base. And I think at this point, they at least need to like go back and look at those 3 wings and.
I mean, that's so easy to change.
Chop minutes off. Yeah, it's numbers on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, and you can change it in the future as well, because probably the next expansion, is there going to be a next expansion? Well, anyway, if there's
eventually
one, it's gonna make things even more broken, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's the problem, right? There will have to be some kind of maintenance, right, to make it work. You know, you have to keep the raids will need to be maintained. I mean, you could kind of make the argument that should be the case.
That's a, I don't know. I don't think
Bit
it's
of a strong word, but you love it.
Yeah, I think you can literally just look at them like once a half a year, and that'll be good enough. Like, just look at the enraged timers and say that. But I mean, then the thing is that a lot of bosses, the enraged timer won't do anything really, because say like some things just die really fast, like Gorseval, I guess. I don't know. And if you make
some of them you might just have to give more HP to. Maybe it's not enraged timer. Maybe it's more HP on the boss.
Yeah, in a way that's
like Gorseval with double the HP suddenly becomes a very interesting boss. The enraged timer won't really change anything, but if you doubled his HP, suddenly
that's actually true.
People are
one of
people are doing updrafts again.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
It's a little it's almost counterintuitive, like the way some of the bosses work, right? They become so easy if you don't have to do any of them. If you just DPS them really hard. I mean, I know that's kind of what you'd expect, right? If you're better at the game, it's easier, right? But it shouldn't be in my mind, it shouldn't be the rich get rich, right? The boss should be at an even difficulty. Okay, no matter how much DPS you do, the mechanics should stay at the same difficulty level. Okay, but it turns out that the more DPS you have, the difficulty just falls off into nothing, right? And that that's quite a lot of bosses.
Some of them,
it's not that many, right?
Some of them, yeah. There's like a couple where the mechanics actually stack up if you have too much DPS, because they're all HP based, and you start to have like 3 mechanics at once. But that's not the normal design at all.
Well, I mean, every boss you do, like it just
like Samurag is fucking cancer in a group of people that know what they're doing, because you're having to do that fucking insane break bar every 8 seconds. Like it's crazy. Whereas like if you're in like a shitty pug, like the break bar is like a trivial part of Samurag. But in a meta group, like it's like the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, but still, it happens in any game. Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, it's difficult to avoid, but it's I wish it could be rectified a little bit. And I think increasing boss hit points and changing the way enrages work and the way that mechanics should increase in intensity, right? Like as opposed to just like eventually chaining together till the boss ends up doing nothing. It's just not quite right, if you ask me. I don't know, but again. I think that's a conversation for another time, really. But yeah,
when you have a lot of DPS, the mechanics, like you don't need to. A lot of the time, like say Matthias, you don't need to do the sacrifice as many times if you have a lot of DPS. Just let's take that. The mechanic doesn't fall over because it still exists, right? But then something like Gorso, where you literally just DPS in the middle, I mean, the mechanic literally just falls over and dies. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, the mechanics is completely gone, right?
Yeah, and they had a chance to fix that in Wing 1, but they wanted people to... Like, it was a very conscious decision on their part. Once people showed it was possible to skip the updrafts, like in Wing 1, then they had the chance at that point to fix it and make the World Eater go off regardless. But they said, no, we like that. And
I don't think it's that bad that you can do that, but the thing is, now you can do it in every group.
Oh yeah. Like even bad pugs, I mean, they don't updraft, so like, yeah, it's not.
Oh, oh wait, what
The fuck
Oh
just
wait,
happened?
what the?
Frosty's dead.
Oh,
I'm not sure.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
oh.
Oh,
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you.
That's interesting. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah,
Monk Omega,
me
dude.
neither.
I
You know
can't
what?
even open my Discord.
He's
Oh.
turned into a.
He's a
Discord
green
ball
thing.
symbol.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Oh.
There we go.
Ah, there we go. The
Okay.
grand return. Yeah, I think just in general, to conclude the tea time, I think that will kind of do it for us guys. I think it's run its course. I think we had you know what? I wasn't sure what I was expecting. Like neither at the start, before the stream, like Joel was sort of like, what's going to happen on this tea time, man? Like I wasn't really sure either. Okay, but I'm not sure I was expecting this, but a fantastic discussion, I think. So I think that will pretty much round it out. Just in general, guys, nerf everything. There we go. Nice.
Bring down the power creep, baby.
And make runes really OP. Let's go. Okay, and gameplay defining per class, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. One example of that would be just you guys remember old Chronomancer runes? Okay, they were just completely meta defined on Mesmer, like back in the old days. Yeah.
They actually interacted with the elite specialization. Wow, what a crazy design!
Yeah,
I mean, that's
insane.
Awesome. I myself prefer Weaver runes that have the 6th bonus is 20% chill duration. Because when I think of a Weaver, I think of like a build that really pumps out the chill. Yeah. And that's a very useful part of its design.
Yeah, they kept that water attunement, yeah. Weaver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very strong.
Okay. All right. That'll just about do it for us. So, well, it's time for the shilling, okay? That's let's go. It's time. So, let's see. What?
Oh, just looking at Joy.
You're just looking at Joy? He's getting excited now, is he? Like, yeah?
Damn, you saw that shit?
Have you got a button on the stream deck to play? Like some kind of like pre-recorded message?
I saw this live.
You know me, dude. Like, it's literally not even on, man.
So, let the shilling commence. Let's go in the order, in the title of the stream. Nike!
Hello.
Who are you?
I stream Guild Wars 2 one day a week on average, and I make some videos on YouTube once every 2 weeks on average. It's pretty good. It's what I can handle, what I can manage. So feel free to check that stuff out. It's pretty fun. There's some fun memes. More memes to come.
Yeah. That's it. Can you give us an ETA on the next YouTube epic video?
Within 2 weeks.
Within 2 weeks, and what is?
But I will promise that Zach has made an intro song for me.
What is the topic? Is it going to be what type of comment is it going to be about? What are you reading?
A lot of like anti-raid stuff. There's a lot of like ARP toxicity that needs to get brought up.
Nice.
And touched on.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's good shit. Okay.
Accessibility is a big one. I've been turned on to the world of accessibility, which is like the buzzword for 2018.
Make sure you remind everyone that Salt came second in the ARP.
Yeah. If you don't you don't like anything and you want to sound smart while you're criticizing it, just say it's not accessible. And you're instantly 140 IQ position on the issue. And so that's my advice for debaters out there.
Yeah. Get ready for that. That's going to be exciting. So, guys, links have been posted by the bot, of course. Okay, right. Moving on to Frostball. Okay, Frosty. He dominates PvP. The best Mirage in the game. Okay, but now he set his sights on PvE. And what happened? Okay, in his first ever competitive raiding experience, 2nd place in the amateur raiding party, losing only to Meta, dominating other inferior guilds such as WE, Derp, and CLL, all complete garbage compared to Salt and Frosty.
And I mean,
what are you doing these days?
We all know why we lost to Jackson anyway. How there was the rule where if you win the ARP, you go to the ERP and get to come back to farm the noobs. Oh, we just outplayed you, son. All right.
Yeah.
So if you want to see more game mode domination, GVG's though, no, none of that. Okay?
Not supported.
Yeah. No, not even by me.
Wow. But yeah, be sure to check out that. And finally, Okay, it is the AT man. Okay.
That's all I do.
Yeah, disregarded by the community. Okay, people say mean things to him in map chat. Okay, fuck those people. By the way, it is Jawgeous.
Yeah. I'm an AT caster. I cover PvP. I'm pretty bad at it myself, but I like to run off the back of showcasing good gameplay by spectating AT so that people still come to my channel and learn about PvP, but it's not me doing it. You know what I mean? I use other people in the community in PvP to benefit myself because I'm not good enough.
Is this something that was said in Twitch chat? I'm just curious.
I'm doing this spur of the moment. Like, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, just
self-degrading shit. I've been playing Minecraft for a couple of days now.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been really enjoying that. I was watching Frosty play Skyrim, and I was thinking, what can I do that's gonna help me sleep? So I just started playing some Minecraft. I made a pretty cool house recently. Made a little farm with some wheat and stuff, and I made a huge tunnel, and I made some steps that lead down into like a little place so I can mine some diamonds and shit. But it's about me. That's what I do. That's all I really do. Play Minecraft and Guild Wars 2. So, hope you guys enjoyed my my massively biased PvP opinions today. And yeah, Guild Wars 2 is on sale, by the way.
Oh, wait, is it still on sale? Wait, is it actually? I don't know. When does it say?
Wait, you didn't know this? Shut up.
Wait, when does it end? When does the sale end?
26th.
26th. Okay. Oh, so
Black Friday.
Oh, shit.
What are you talking about?
You didn't know this?
No, I thought it ended like yesterday or some shit. I didn't know.
No, dude, it's Black Friday till the 26th.
Yeah, no, I knew it was. I knew it was on sale, guys. I'm not that stupid. Okay, yeah, no, I didn't realize until how long the sale was actually. Oh, never mind. Okay, well, in that case, moving on to me, guys. So first things first, referral link, guys, below the stream. You want to go ahead and click on this. No one else's, guys. Bear in mind, like if you click on say George's link, that will overwrite the cookie. Okay, don't do that. Okay, only click on mine. Right? Really important. Okay, if you click on George's link, clear out all the cookies. Okay, then come and click on mine. Okay, that's what you want to do. Full clear of the cache, all of it, okay? Very important. But yeah, anyway, okay? Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. TeaTime, follow it if you liked. TeaTime is back now-ish, okay? Every weekend or something you can find the finest, Mystic Builds. Yeah, maybe Mystic Builds comes back, okay? Maybe that comes back, okay? The finest minds in Guild Wars 2 discuss everything that happens in the game, but yeah, that's basically it. I don't really have anything else to say. Follow. Subscribe. I'm going to start this raid now. Okay, we're going to hang on, wait a minute. Let's see.
Where are we going?
You know what? This is okay. You know where we're going? We're going to hang on. You'll see. Okay.
Envy.
Maybe people will be familiar with this guy. No, it's got to be Guild Wars 2. Envy's abandoned us, dude. Like what the fuck? Okay.
He's working now, dude. He's got a real job.
Yeah, that's this guy. Okay, this guy is Pog. Okay, he plays dank hybrid firebrand all the time. Okay, this is.
I don't blame Envy for leaving. Okay. If I streamed Guild Wars 2 for 2 weeks and didn't get partner, I'd be mad too, and I'd quit. So
yeah. But anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the stream. Had a good time. I think it was an excellent show. Big shout out to all of my guests: Jaw, Nike, Frosty. Okay, links below the stream to all of these fine gentlemen, and of course the bot will post there. Be sure to follow all of them. Be sure to subscribe to all of them as well. Okay, they've all got that Twitch sub button, guys. You got to get on that. And of course, me, most importantly, referral link. Follow me on Twitter. Follow the stream. Come and watch every single day. Loads of content here, stream every day. Also, memes, yeah, very important. But also, I'm probably going to play some 2v2s with angels this week, so that'll be fun. Hopefully I don't make him smash the desk too much. Like, that will be, that'll be fun. But yeah, thanks for watching. Follow, subscribe. Twitch Prime. Yeah, Twitch Prime, guys. Click that sub button. Go. Hit the sub button now. Go say hi to our raid victim. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a good day. See you guys later.